Welcome to the 90th episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
So fucking paranormal.
My name is Jason Knight, your podcast host, and with me, as always, the beautiful co-host and producer extraordinaire, Mr. Oscar Spector.
Hello, peoples. Sorry, I wanted to say something else, and then I realized it would totally interrupt the show, so I didn't say it.
The show is interrupted enough. Listen to the outtakes.
We just started.
Listeners, there's going to definitely be outtakes. They're rated R outtakes, so make sure to check that out when you're not with children.
Yes.
If you're listening to us with children, which you probably shouldn't be. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I would listen to a podcast through my headphones. It always feels like an intimate experience every time.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely. Well, we're coming off of the final beta mental detector episode.
That's been out then.
What's that?
The second one has been out, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was our last show. We got some comments on it. I'll read one of them in particular here shortly. But we kind of get some housekeeping stuff to go over here.
Okay.
I think. First, anything paranormal happen to you, Oscar, over the last couple weeks, by chance?
No.
Good, because I got something.
Okay, good.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just trying to think. Well, I don't think so. Continue.
All right. So, about 2 weeks ago now,
okay,
week and a half ago, it was a Saturday night, and my wife and I were getting ready for bed. It was maybe 1:30ish in the morning.
Okay.
And I have these blink cameras on my house because I'm a paranoid fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of traveling. You know, we got security system, we have camera system, because I listen to so many crazy podcasts and I research so many crazy topics. I think someone's going to break into the house and kill everybody. So,
although to be fair, folks out there listening right now, he was pretty much paranoid before he did the show.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So I set up these blink cameras, and I have a blink camera in the front of the house, taking video of the whole front of the house, and I put a camera in the back of my house, overlooking the entire yard. And I have a huge yard.
Yeah, you do.
Huge fenced-in yard. So we were getting ready to go to bed. It was about 1:30 in the morning, week and a half ago. Something tells me, get on my phone, because Blink comes with an app. Get on the phone and check the back camera. I could do live views of my camera from anywhere in the world, as long as I have an internet connection.
Right.
So I picked up my phone. Katie was just about to crawl into bed, and I did live view on the backyard. Something told me do it.
Okay.
And when I went on to live view for the backyard, pitch black backyard.
An orgy.
No orgies.
Oh, damn.
I saw a ball of light.
Oh.
And I said, and I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'm staring at the live view, and this ball of light is moving erratically, all sort of centered around a particular area at the far foot of my yard.
Interesting. By
an AT&T junction box that's in my yard on the ground, that I've been fighting for years with AT&T to have removed, but they won't. And underneath, some power lines, and specifically at the top of this power pole is a transformer. So it seemed this ball of light was hanging out and moving erratically in between AT&T junction box power and the transformer on the power lines, another source of power.
Definitely, yeah.
So I'm staring at my phone. And Katie looks over and she's like, what's wrong with you? I go, come look at this. And she gets out of bed. She comes over to my side where I'm standing. And she looks at the phone. And she goes, what the hell is that? So she starts watching it. And I go to my window in my bedroom. And I look out at the backyard. There's nothing there. I look back at the camera. There's this pretty large ball of light moving erratically. It's kind of changing shapes.
So like invisible to the naked eye kind of thing?
Completely invisible to the naked eye. It was kind of changing shapes. It was leaving little trails kind of behind it, like light trails when it was moving.
Okay.
So then we moved into the bathroom, and I lifted up the bathroom window, We're on the second story in our bedroom. And I'm looking out in the yard with my naked eyes, and I don't see a goddamn thing. All I see is lights from my neighbor's houses way at the other end of the yard, behind my fence.
By the way, your eyes look very well dressed right now.
Oh, yeah, well, at the time they were naked.
Not so naked, right?
They were naked.
Nice.
So I'm looking at the yard, there's nothing there. Katie's looking at the yard, there's nothing there. Looking at the camera, there's the light, moving all over the place. So I'm like, I got to record. So what I did is I took Katie's phone, because with the Blink, you can't record with live view. You can only watch.
Really?
It's kind of a shortcoming of the camera system.
Okay.
So to capture this thing for proof, we took Katie's phone and recorded my cell phone doing the live view.
Got it.
So I put this on YouTube. The listeners could see it. All total, we probably watched this thing for about 10 or 11 minutes. It was out there, okay?
Okay.
I started recording maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes into this experience. So ultimately, I took the cell phone footage and some actual Blink footage, which I'll explain in a second, and I sort of stitched them together, and I uploaded it to our YouTube channel. So if listeners go to Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube, and they look at a video, watch a video called Blink Camera Captures Backyard Ghost. Blink Camera Captures Backyard Ghost. You can see this whole thing. So make sure and check that out. So we're standing in the bathroom. I'm recording the live view off of Katie's phone from my phone. And I'm showing how, here it is on camera. You could see it clear as day, moving all crazy on my phone, and then I'll pan my phone up to look out into the yard, pan Katie's phone up to look out into the yard. There's nothing there. It's completely dark, save for my neighbor's lights of their home, which are stationary, way on the other side of my fence, right?
Yeah.
So we record this thing for probably 7-ish minutes on Katie's phone.
Yeah.
And the whole time it's doing these acrobatics. It's moving to the left, moving to the right, moving up, moving down, changing shapes, leaving like these light trails behind it, all within this sort of power area between the AT&T junction box and the transformer. Almost like it was charging itself off of the energy produced by those two items, right?
Right.
So eventually we stop recording on Katie's phone and we go outside. Katie's like, we got to go check this out. So I'm like, no. She's like, fine, I'm going to go. I'm like, all right, wait, I'll go. So we get out into the yard. Now we're recording. Now it's the Blink camera recording us. Because when there's motion, the Blink camera kicks in and it starts recording everything. Right?
Gotcha.
So you see us come out of the sliding glass doors onto my patio, on my deck.
So it didn't register the light.
Did not register
movement.
the light. Did not register the light. I saw it in live view. It was, I guess, maybe too far away for the camera's sensors to pick it up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
So when we get downstairs, we go down on my deck. Now the camera takes over and starts recording. So you see me and Katie come out onto the deck.
Yeah.
There, that son of a bitch, now that it's recording, because of us, our bodies being right by the camera, now it's recording that ball. And that ball of light is still there. And it's still moving around. Okay? So I get off the deck. I start walking towards the yard, towards that side of the yard, towards the fence, towards the junction box, and the ball of light's still moving. Then when I get to the fence line, it disappears. It didn't like me being there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when I was walking up, when I was about halfway in my yard, halfway to the fence, I got this overwhelming electrical feeling in my head and my shoulders. Like it was just, I was being zapped by something. It was very strong. Then I went up to the fence, gone. Thing never came back. Every night we checked the camera.
Yeah.
It never came back.
Right.
Just that one time.
Well,
I don't know what the hell that was,
yeah.
but I caught it. Listeners could see it on YouTube.
Anything in the comments or anything anyone say for possible explanation?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
It seems to be definitely driven, curious, drawn by the electricity. For
That's
sure.
what I'm thinking.
Definitely. It looks like I don't know. Have you seen
Yeah, because
Gremlins
you've seen
2?
some of this, right?
You've seen Gremlins 2?
Yes. The new batch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy gremlins, like a spider gremlin.
Is it the electric?
Yeah, it's like the electric gremlin's like fucking with you.
Yeah, it's something.
It looks like it's like kind of like that. I did see some of it. You're right. I didn't see it out to the end. I don't remember why I did it. I don't know why I never finished it. I should really watch
Well, I think I sent it to you when you were at work and stuff.
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember why I never finished it. Anyway, and it could be that, or I'm going to offer this as the only solution that before someone else says it, and I know it's not the actual solution, but it could be a magnemite.
What's that?
People are laughing out there. It's a Pokemon that's attracted to electricity.
Oh, Talia would be. My daughter would be really happy because she loves Pokemon right now.
It's the Magnemite or Electro Kid or Elekid. Sorry. Yeah. But Elekid doesn't hover around. Magnemites do though, so that could be a.
Maybe it's a Magnemite. I don't know. That sounds cute. I would like it to be a Magnemite.
Magnemites
but I'll tell
cute.
you one more thing about this.
What's up?
Last summer, we have a big trampoline out back, and all the neighborhood kids come to jump on the trampoline and play in the backyard and stuff. Sometimes we could have like 20 kids here.
Yeah, when you move, there are going to be a lot of sad children.
Yeah. Probably a lot of sad parents, too, because Katie winds up watching them all.
Right, that's true.
But, so last year, it was the summertime, sun was going down. My daughter, my son, and maybe 3 or 4 other girls were on the trampoline, just sitting, just kind of chilling, enjoying the weather, whatever. One of Talia's friends, who's kind of like this creepy kid, her parents are kind of like us. They're into the supernatural, and
what makes him creepy?
She plays with like Ouija boards, and she watches all the haunted shows and tells scary stories. Me, yeah, as a little girl,
or Joe, even.
Yeah. So this creepy girl was sitting on the trampoline with the rest of the kids, and she goes to my daughter. She's like, "Talia, I just seen a guy walking by that fence in our yard." Walking from the fence over to this pine tree we have back there.
Yeah.
And he disappeared. Talia ran in and told me, I'm like, oh, that's just, I'm not going to say her name, but that's just so-and-so being so-and-so, creepy kid, right? But now I'm wondering, did she really see something back there by that fence? Because we sure as fuck did.
Right, and we all say, and we've all seen, we all believe it, I'm pretty sure, that children, tend to
100%
really see that a lot more. They're more sensitive to it. They're more open. They don't have those biases that kind of gets in there when they start paying taxes. Around that time, that's when they lose that curiosity. And
you're absolutely right.
And also, if they're open to it from the beginning because of their parents, being supernaturally driven or open about it, it could make sense. Yeah. It could also be an imagination thing fueled by watching supernatural stuff or stuff. Could be one or the other.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I just, as soon as we were done recording and experiencing this thing, that's the first thing I thought of was, wow, this girl said she saw something back there last year.
Did you question for any specifics?
No. She hasn't been around in a long time, but
okay.
Yeah, very weird. Very weird. And listeners can see this video. Let us know what you think.
I've never done it on a trampoline.
Well, again, listeners, listen to the outtakes.
Have you?
I have.
You
not.
have one.
I've fallen asleep on a trampoline.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
But
dude, I've seen you fall asleep. Jay, you fall asleep. You're so strange because you're so picky about sleeping and the way you sleep.
Yes.
But I guess I knew you when you just fall asleep anywhere.
I know. You would think I had narcolepsy for sure.
Yeah. I do remember that now. So
that happened. And then I had something else happen.
What's his name?
No.
Oh, okay.
So the other day, I'm in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my wife and the kids this week are all on spring break. So I was working from home. Mm-hmm. Everyone was home, right?
Yeah.
I think this was Tuesday. We're recording now. Well, technically Saturday morning, but I think this was Tuesday. Just this past week. I'm standing in the kitchen. I'm bagging up garbage because I was about to go take the garbage out. Mm-hmm. I'm standing in the middle of the kitchen. I got the garbage bag on the floor. I'm tying the garbage bag into a knot. And I see Katie from the corner of my eye standing in the hallway there between my office, the garage door, and Katie and Talia's office.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that hallway.
Definitely.
In the bathroom. She's standing right there. She's wearing a blue shirt, long hair. There she is. I look up. 2 seconds later, Katie comes walking into that hallway from the garage. She wasn't in the house. She was in the goddamn garage. But she was standing right there in the hallway.
Yeah.
When I looked up, there she comes in the door.
That's super cool.
What the fuck is that, man?
That looks, dude. That's not just something like ghosty or like. It's not just what are they've called it like energy signatures of the dead, or it's not anything like that. That feels like it could either be something like that. Or it feels like an echo or like a glitch in the Matrix.
Well, yeah, glitch in the Matrix. Yes.
It feels like
I just got the creep. I just got the
that. That's what that feels like.
It was
like
so
there's
weird.
More
man.
avenues of sci-fi potential, and that specific thing.
And then
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I guess I have just a terrible poker face because as soon as and then when she came in the door, when she talked to me to say what's wrong, she was standing in that exact same spot.
Of course. Is she wearing
the
blue?
Same shirt.
Okay.
Yes. It was a Girl Scout shirt, a blue shirt.
Did she have the same expression?
I didn't see an expression.
Fuck.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that detailed, right? Because I wasn't looking full on.
How badass would it be? I mean, well, I don't know about badass. If you just glimpsed the future and you got freaked out by it, and then it happened, and because you caused it to her stand there and make that expression, if it was the same one, that's kind of cool.
That's some Neo shit right there from the Matrix. Would you have knocked over the vase if I didn't tell you were going to knock over the vase or something like that?
Definitely, just more pithier.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It was so weird.
There is no fucking spoon, Jay. There's no fucking spoon.
Bend the spoon. And then, of course, I'm standing there completely dumbfounded.
Yeah.
I must have looked like a fool. And Katie's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, you were just here before you were here.
I would have just said middle-age crisis.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe this is early signs of dementia. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I really hope not.
But I'll tell you, that ball of light,
Yeah.
Katie was standing right there. She saw the entire thing,
Yeah.
So those are the things that happened to me over the past 2 weeks.
Please don't get dementia.
Right? Oh, God.
Not only are you the only thing holding the show mainly together, as although there's one positive, strange, brighter side too. If you were to get something like dementia or
I gotta hear
Alzheimer's,
this. Yeah.
is that the same joke will work on you every time I come visit.
I never did it on a trampoline. Oscar, you're so original.
That'd be so great.
I don't know what's going on around here, man.
It's okay.
So, what was that?
It was
You have the loudest vibrator on your phone ever.
your mom.
Oh.
That's just the go-to phone answer. It was my vibrator. That's the second go-to answer.
Got
it was
it.
my phone reacting to my...
Yeah. Yeah.
I throw my phone a lot and it
Why do you
drops.
throw your phone?
Because I get angry at it. So it's been making that noise lately.
That's a loud vibrate.
It's not.
Should we just warn listeners now? You might hear this.
Well, I don't want it, but it's I'm trying to hold it in a way where I won't do that so much.
All right.
And mostly it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that there was a third kind of weird thing that happened, and it just happened tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When I was setting up, because bringing stuff down, the equipment and stuff, table, chairs.
I'm actually still on the way.
Don't.
That would be so funny. Oh my god! I wish I could splice myself right now,
Dude, I seriously, like, all the hair on the back of my neck just stood up when you said that.
I'm still on the way.
I just imagine
it's barely 11:30.
I just imagine me sitting here talking to the opposite wall, and you're not even here. Oh my god! So when that's the other thing I stopped doing is. When I'm
we all have tics. Every person does
and I've
it.
always had bad sign. I'm
Trust
sorry.
me, people will still
listeners,
listen to
I'm sorry.
podcasts, so it's not a big deal. Rob sniffles a lot too in my show.
Does he?
A lot, yeah.
So I was coming down to the basement to set up before you came here, and sitting next to the podcast table, laying on the floor, this bright silver object caught my attention. Right? I showed you this.
Yes.
You couldn't believe it. So,
I did believe it because you showed it to me.
Have it in my hand right now. Now this is a toy that I've never seen in my life. I don't know where the fuck this came from. I'm gonna have to ask my kids about it tomorrow because it kind of creeped me out. But this particular toy has strong relevance to the topic we're going to be covering tonight.
Yes. I'm surprised you're bringing it up now, not then.
I'm not going to say the topic yet. Well, I guess they could read the title. I'm not going to have a quippy title on this one. It is what it is.
Oh, really? You're not going to have a creepy title?
No.
Should we call it The House That No One Dies In?
Oh, no, they did.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking in the infamous first movie.
Yeah. So it's a silver pig.
Yeah.
It's a little silver pig. Well, I don't know, 2 inches by 2 inches, maybe 3 inches. I don't fucking know. But it's a bright silver pig with these reddish, pinkish, glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Right? You're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
And I've never seen this toy in my life. I don't know where this came from.
I love when you say things like that at the end of a sentence. In my life. Could you say that often? And I'm not saying I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But it'd be so funny if, this is the third time you've encountered this pig. You just don't remember.
I guess at the end of the day is possible.
Because, sometimes that happens with me, too. What is this? I've never... I see like a movie stub. Like, I didn't go to this movie. Like, I wouldn't believe it. And so someone tells me, like, yeah, you went with me, you fucktard.
So let's say like this. I cannot remember ever seeing this thing.
Yeah.
All right. And the pig has strong relevance to what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I thought that was really strange. It's a pig with glowing eyes. So now it's sitting on our...
So clearly we're going to talk about Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web.
The real murderer.
Charlotte's Web.
She's been spinning the web of what we're creating
Yes.
here, right? The web, right?
So now the silver pig with glowing eyes is our mascot. It's on the podcast table next to the jar of maraschino cherries you brought me, which was always appreciated.
There's a fun story about that one.
About the maraschino cherries?
Yeah, I didn't buy it for
How
you.
long's our intro right now?
Mine is, well, I don't know how much is the outtakes, so I can't do the
gotcha.
minusing in my head right now. But
All right, quick story, maraschino cherries.
no, yeah, quick. It's not like, it's just interesting, and because it's so funny how we got here. So this, I work at Starbucks, and one of my coworkers, her name is Kelly. She would, she's 19, dated around, and not like in a totally bad way, whatever. And she was seeing like one guy seriously, other guys like not really seriously, but she would like let them flirt, or she would flirt back with them, maybe go on a date, but not like a whatever, that kind of thing. And so she would have like a bunch of suitors, not all at once, mind you, come to the store, just fucking hang there while she's making drinks and talk to her for like sometimes for hours at a time. Like, get a life, guys.
That's stuff teenagers do.
Yeah, I mean, but, okay, yeah, whatever. Still get a life. I've never done that. Anyway, that would happen often. Sometimes I would yell at her, like, can you fucking do your, things like that. I wouldn't say it like that, but I would say, hey, do something else. And this is one particular guy. I forget his name. Really nice guy. They're all nice guys, obviously. The worst part, I never had any trouble with them personally.
Yeah.
They were nice guys. But so that made it worse, I guess, when I had to yell at her or yell at them. But anyway, point is that one of these guys, will come by often, get the same drink, whatever, talk, and whatever. He's a Polish electrician, I think. And so around Christmas time last year, right around the time where I guess...
Wait a minute. Did this guy bring these maraschino cherries over a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No.
You trying to kill me?
No, last year, like a few months ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
What the fuck?
Okay.
Why do you go to there? Why would you go there?
I don't know.
Yes, Jay.
I'm so
I've had
paranoid.
these maraschino cherries.
Now I'm thinking the Polish electrician poisoned these to get the girl into a vulnerable state. This is where my mind goes.
I waited long enough to make sure that the other ones weren't poisoned. He gave us all a little gift for everyone at the store, not just me, not just.
I like the Polish electrician.
You're a roller coaster of emotions. So you like him and you hate him. Okay. Anyway, and he gave us all like a bottle of Jaeger. I'm like, oh God, he's 19 and or 20, whatever he is. Like I threw it out. I'm not gonna drink that anymore. I'm past that age. Don't drink Jaeger. Anyway, and he gave me like a margarita mixer, a little bottle, and gave us that.
And the maraschino cherries.
Right.
Okay.
And I thought of you instantly.
No, for my Manhattan Old Fashions.
I almost ate them right there because they're great, but also fat, and then actually at one point, saw in my room, like, can I have those? I'm like, no.
Those are for Jason.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them to Jay.
Thank you.
And then cut to now, and I'm giving them to you.
I love it.
He is not her suitor anymore. She is pregnant and with someone very seriously.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Great.
Damn.
So I wanted to say that earlier, but then I got ahead of the story.
Well, good luck to you, Kelly. I have your maraschino cherries.
She is super cool.
Nice.
Baby shower's coming up too. Yeah.
Does Kelly listen to our show?
I do not know.
You should let her listen to it.
Probably not.
Should
probably not that she doesn't listen. Not that I won't tell her.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. Well, I will enjoy those. Let's run down some housekeeping.
I thought we did that already.
No.
Didn't you say that like an hour ago?
If listeners want to contact us, Oscar, there's a number of ways.
About ways to like shorten up our topics?
Shorten our intros. Because apparently people on YouTube think we have way too many intros. Way too long of intros.
Oh, people on YouTube say that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
People on YouTube, that's where they're mean, these fuckers.
Well, you can be mean anywhere, but you're not wrong.
Yeah. So, just to bring this to a close, because I do have 2 quotes that I want to read. Listeners could get a hold of us on Twitter and Instagram at Chicago Ghosts.
And on Grindr.
Not on Grindr. What was the one you played in the outtakes? What was that website?
I don't know.
The Swingers website.
I mentioned Tinder. Swingers website.
Yeah,
FedLife.
FedLife. Yeah,
it's not a Swingers website.
We're not on that either.
No.
But on Twitter and Instagram, we're at Chicago Ghosts.
Okay.
Support us on Patreon. If you love what we do and you want us to do more, or maybe you want to send us on more crazy podcast trips and
Patreon.
hopes we get hurt, killed, or maimed bringing you content,
Wow.
support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/supernatural occurrence studies podcast. Follow us on YouTube. We have lots of great stuff on YouTube. That's Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube. You could also see the Blink Camera Ghost video on YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure and subscribe. Ring the bell so you're notified every time we upload new content.
Yep.
Call or text us anytime at what area code, Oscar?
Wait, no. I actually know it this time. 872. No?
Yes. I thought you were
sorry.
going to read the whole number.
No, just the area code. You asked for area code.
Proud moment there.
Don't ask
for
me for the rest of it.
Yes, Chicago area code 872-529-0767. That's 872-529-0767. We'll read your messages on the show. Thousands and thousands of listeners could hear what you have to say.
Yeah, that's what the internet is all about.
Yeah.
I have a question real quick, and this is also concerning our audience. Do you put timestamps on the show notes?
I don't. I outline topics on the show.
Bad.
You think?
Bad co-host. Host?
Yeah.
Whatever you are.
You think it's bad?
Well, I mean, because if people think, it's good to have the option if people do think our fucking, if our intros are so long, they want to get to the meat of the episode right away, they know where to skip.
Maybe I could put into the show notes when the actual episode starts.
Because it's not like we can be predicted. Sometimes our intros are very short. Sometimes we can't be predicted.
That's true.
That's the whole point. It's supposed to be improvisational. This is the only time I get to shine. Also, by the way.
I'll pray on that.
All right.
I'll pray on that.
That's another praying you have to do.
Please leave us some positive iTunes reviews. Reviews on iTunes help listeners just like you find us, and we want to grow this little passion project to be huge, bigger, better, stronger, awesomer. I'll just stop right there.
It's okay.
So leave it on iTunes, listeners, where it counts, and follow us on Facebook. That's at Chicago Ghost Podcast on Facebook. Leave us comments, leave us reviews. We'll read them on the show. And speaking of Facebook, over the past couple weeks, we got some new listener feedback. I want to read those now. The first one is from Pam Newsom, who wrote about the mental detector episodes, the beta episodes. Quote, I really enjoyed this offshoot of SOS. I hope to hear more like this, end quote. So thank you, Pam. I let Joe and Dave know, and I think they have some stuff in the works right now. So we didn't receive any negative feedback from mental detectors. So I say we let it roll and see what they come up with.
Well, what Jay doesn't tell you is that in the undercurrent of his positive outlook to get better feedback, he's really telling you people that are getting or are thinking of sending negative feedback that he'll kill you, come to your house if you send negative feedback, and he has all your information on hand. That's why nobody sends negative feedback.
I didn't say it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's on the undercurrent. That's underneath your voice.
Read in between the lines.
Right.
Got it.
So that's why we don't.
I'm not going to kill anybody. Right. And we got a second Facebook comment, more like a private message, actually.
Okay.
And
do you want to read it? Because it's private.
No, I'm going to read it. Okay. I'm not going to put the person's last name because it was a PM.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know what to say about this one. All right. I'll just read it. So, Horatio L. wrote, quote, just wanted to let you know you guys are awesome. My buddy and I are on deployment in Afghanistan right now, and about a month ago we came across your podcast episodes on Spotify. We listened to the 2 episodes on Missing 411 and have been addicted since. We sincerely want to say thank you because your podcast is what gets us through the nights that we are on duty. Keep doing what you're doing and don't change a thing. The humor, the knowledge, and the sincerity that comes with all episodes are the perfect mix. So again, thank you. End quote.
2 things. One, he said duty. Secondly, that is awesome.
I mean...
That is so cool. That's so cool to hear.
This is why we do this. This is the payoff. Why we do this. Here are U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, in the desert, on duty, in harm's way, and one of the things that gets these guys through is our show.
Yeah.
When I first read this, I literally got teary-eyed. I know I sound like a bitch, but
That's so good.
I don't know.
I hear you.
I don't know what to say. Horatio, thank you for what you're doing for our country. Thank you for the incredible comment. It's got to be... I love all our comments, right? But that's got to be the best comment we've ever received.
See, now there's stiff competition out there, folks.
Yeah, right.
Now you got to beat that.
Could you beat that?
You got to beat that.
And I got to be honest with you, man. You know, I had mixed feelings on this comment. One, obviously, I was flattered beyond belief that our soldiers are listening to us out there. I was taken aback. I was just so happy. On the other hand, I realized we can't stop this. This show cannot stop for these reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I always talk about listeners expect a show every 2 weeks. I mean, that's what this is about, you know. And lately, you know, I'm being, full disclosure here, I've been really stressed out about the show because, you know, for example, things at work have changed. I'm busier now. There's going to be more travel coming up. And I'm stressing out because it's really hard coming up with a full episode every week and a half. Because we have time to record and edit and research, all that stuff. So I wasn't sure what to do. But now I realize with this comment, I have to find a way. This can't stop, right? Yeah. People depend on this. So what I've decided to do, and I never thought I would do this because my personality, the way I'm programmed, I don't like too many cooks in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to keep what's ours.
Yeah.
But what I've decided to do to ensure this thing keeps going is announce that the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is hiring for research assistants. I'm looking for 2 research assistants that will be paid, people who could work under a deadline, people who enjoy the topics we cover, people who enjoy reading, researching, watching movies and documentaries about the subject we cover to help assemble episodes. And, you know, listeners, if you're interested, could get a hold of the show at contact@chicagoghostpodcast.com. If you're interested in being a paid research assistant for this show, email us. We'll talk about details and see how it goes. But I think that will be a way to help alleviate the stress, keep it fun, keeping the show released every 2 weeks, and keeping listeners like Horatio happy. What do you think?
Make everyone happy, yeah. That'd be great.
Cool.
I wish I was good at researching.
No, dude, you're just as busy as I am, man.
Seemingly.
I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Yeah. End of intro. Finn.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see what commercials Oscar fins to play.
One commercial.
This episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by Grammarly.com. Grammarly. Built by linguists and language lovers, Grammarly's writing app finds and corrects hundreds of complex writing errors instantly, so you don't have to. Copy and paste any English text into Grammarly's online text editor or install the free Grammarly extension for Chrome, Firefox, and Safari and get to writing. Download Grammarly now for free at www.getgrammarly.com/ghost. That's getgrammarly.com/ghost. Bring Grammarly's powerful algorithms straight to wherever you are writing online. Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. What are you waiting for? Download Grammarly for free at getgrammarly.com/ghost. Welcome back to the show, listeners. Please check out our sponsor. Help us support this show. We would appreciate it greatly. Right, Oscar?
I appreciate it goodly. I don't know about greatly.
Goodly?
Goodly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, do you think we should start?
Yeah, if what you told me is true, definitely get started now. We have a long way to go.
Yes, we do. All right. Well, the lights are turned down low. The ceremonial candle is lit. And the drinks are flowing, even though I'm almost done with my Manhattan Old Fashioned. Oscar, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a combination of iced coffee that I had in my car. Still good. And then what'd you make me?
I made you vanilla vodka and orange soda.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dreamsicle.
Pretty good, too. The reason I started drinking the iced coffee is because this one was going too warm.
The coffee?
Yeah, the coffee, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of stopped this one, because this one's still cold.
So the drinks are still flowing. I'm just going to do the episode like this.
Oh my God, people will hate you.
I'm going
to... Or love you, I don't know.
Ear sex right now.
Ooh.
I'm banging your ears. Could you hear that in the headphones?
I mean, I can definitely hear you. I really hope it can be heard, but I don't know for sure. Because I can always hear you better here and live, you know?
Gotcha. All right. Well, lights are turned down low. Candles lit. Drinks are flowing. Let's start this episode. So tonight, we're going to be covering a topic that I've wanted to cover for a very long time. It's a topic that I have somewhat personal ties to.
That's true.
Visited it, 6 Degrees of Separation with some of the players here. So I've always wanted to talk about this topic. I love the movies. I loved the original book, which we're going to talk about all this stuff. But I got to tell you, this was probably the hardest topic I've had to research to date.
Which is funny to think about, considering the wealth of information out there must be for this topic.
And that's the thing. There is so much information out there on this topic.
It's amazing how many conspiracy theories you can think of coming out of the Harlem Globetrotters, right? That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly right it was.
Harlem Globetrotters, episode 90.
Right. Big temple episode.
It's basketball, people. Look it up. No, and you're right. I mean, there's so much information to sift through about this topic. You don't know what's fact from fiction. You don't know who's telling the truth, who's lying. You don't know at the end. And forewarning, we're not going to solve anything during these episodes on this topic. It's impossible. There's just too many players, too many stories, too many points of view, too many conspiracies. It's impossible to know fact from fiction, okay? Mm-hmm. But I think I had an easier time with Adrenochrome episode, that crazy fucking conspiracy of adrenochrome, than this one. Because up until now, I think adrenochrome was a really hard one to research and put something logical together around that nightmare.
Well, to be fair, guys, he does complain about every researching assignment he gives himself. So he's a masochist, really.
This one was bad. I didn't know. I thought I knew this topic.
Yeah, right.
You know, I've been loving this topic for decades. I thought I knew it. I thought I had it down. I thought this was going to be easy, matter of fact.
Yeah.
And it wound up being the exact opposite. So, listeners, I really hope you enjoy what we put together. But no, we're not going to solve anything. I'm just going to lay out what I think
I'm going to solve
happening.
it. I'm going to solve it.
All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Amityville Horror. Oscar, have you heard of the Amityville Horror?
Of course I have. I mean, it's not like the Resurrection Mary where I never heard of that.
Right.
It is definitely. This is one I definitely have heard since childhood. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So you could talk about this. You've heard of it. Just please don't quiz me on dates after I read them, because there's so many dates in this topic where things happen. So pay attention, because you always get me on those dates. When did that date happen? Then I got to go back up in my notes.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. It's not that you know why I actually do it.
Why?
It's partly because I want to confirm something in my head, so I want to confirm the date. But also it's to recap the listener
Oh.
A lot of people, other people don't use the 15-second before skip thing that the iTunes has or other apps may have.
Yeah.
If they do, they do it. But like usually if it gets too far, like a lot of people, I go through that podcast all the time and I always feel like if they only ask again right now to make sure, like I always prompt you.
Well, if you want to, please go ahead and do, because that's a good point.
That's a producer moderator job that I have. So
I'll do the best. I'll do my best. But be forewarned, there's a lot of dates in this.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the Amityville Horror. Now,
the Amityville Horror?
Horror.
Every time people say horror, I say horror because it's so close.
What is this?
And I actually make people doubt themselves that they're saying horror instead of horror.
Well, that's what exactly you made me do.
I know, that's why I do it, to make people doubt themselves.
Now you know throughout this episode, I'm just going to say Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
And
horror.
I'll be like, fuck, horror.
Right. It's like coral.
Oh, coral.
Sorry, I will, for reals, continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Now, to give you guys an idea of just how popular this topic is, the Amityville Horror, no less than 16 movies have been made about the Amityville Horror.
Including docs, right?
Well, and that's the thing. I can't even count how many documentaries.
You're kidding.
They're endless.
Man.
Now, the original 1979 Amityville Horror movie, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, starring James Brolin and Margot Kidder, it's great. I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
The opening music from that original 1979 film, it still creeps me out to this day, and I'm fucking 41 years old.
75 or 79?
79.
Okay. I think you said 5 originally.
Did I?
You might have. I'm not 100%.
Should we start this over?
No.
Yes, the original 1979 Amityville Horror movie, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, starring James Brolin and Margot Kidder.
You just did the whole thing again.
I fucking love it.
Okay.
I love it. But that music is what really sticks in my mind. And if listeners don't know what I'm talking about, that intro music, Oscar, could we play a clip of that?
But you think I just have it in my back pocket?
Yes. I'm going to wave my magic wand and it's going to happen now.
Life of a producer.
Or now. Oh yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Now, keeping with the movies, I also liked Part 2, Amityville: The Possession, and Part 3, Amityville 3D. They're great movies.
Amityville 3 is called 3D.
It's 3D.
That's fine.
Yeah. They're just great movies. Not as good as the original, but I fucking love them. Listeners, watch The Possession and Amityville 3D. They're fantastic. So, 2005's Amityville Horror remake with Ryan Reynolds. It wasn't bad. Did you see that one?
I did. I believe in theaters too. I just do not remember it very well. Not even the original. It's been a long time for me.
I got you. Well, the 2005 remake, it was a good horror movie, right? But just like all the other movies, including the original, Ryan Reynolds' version introduced a lot of nonsense as far as events that took place in the Amityville home.
Yes.
And it really blurred the lines between Amityville, quote-unquote, fact and fiction.
Right. I want to say something to that really quick, if you don't mind. And this goes for the future, and I think we should make it kind of like as a statement or a judgment or a ruling on the part of the SOS. And if not on your part, then definitely on my part.
Yeah.
That is to say that all movies are fake. Every movie, especially made specifically by Hollywood, is 100% fake. Nothing is real in a movie. They could change the settings, the events, and flip-flop them however they want. They can make up names. They can, and a lot of people tend to take biopics, true crime stories, whatever, as gospel when they see the movie.
Yes.
And it's not true. It's all gracious interpretations.
Yes, and that's a really great point when it comes to the Amityville story. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, and I'm going to get into this, but the 1979 movie was based off of a book written by Jay Anson that chronicled the Lutz family's experiences while they were in the home. So since the movie was based off a book, people take the movie as gospel, right? And they shouldn't.
Yeah, people can base a lot of things on anything. Doesn't matter.
Right.
You ever see the based on a true story thing?
Exactly.
Yeah. I had a film teacher once tell me, and I mean, I don't know, I really hope I didn't ever twist his words over the years because it's been a long time. He told me once that I could have a movie that's based on my true story, on my life, and have the moon blow up and still be factually accurate.
Really?
Because that's how fake it is.
Wow.
Because it's not, like, as long as 5% of the movie, like you have one scene that actually happened in your life, written and acted out.
No, it's based on
but the rest of it is, could be fake.
Wow.
That's it.
Well, that really rings true to this story.
Yeah.
So we got the 2005 remake, just like the other movies, introduced a lot of nonsense and called it fact. And people take this as canon in the Amityville story. Now, after the 2005 movie, in my opinion, rest of the movies, garbage. There's Amityville the Curse. Amityville It's About Time, about a possessed clock. Amityville Dollhouse, about, you guessed it, a possessed dollhouse.
Wait, is this the ones that came after the Ryan Reynolds one?
No.
Okay, I was going to say. Okay, I thought you threw me off. Like, have I missed all these movies?
No, these aren't chronological.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
But just giving you a sampling, again, how
definitely.
popular this is.
Yeah.
So, Amityville Dollhouse, about a possessed dollhouse.
Jason X Space.
Right. Amityville, a New Generation, Amityville Asylum, and on the list goes.
Asylum.
Yes.
Does that mean that they convert the house into an asylum?
No, it takes place at the Amityville Asylum, which was a real thing.
So take advantage of the town itself, not the house.
Right. So now, and that's the other thing, too, with researching this story, you cannot type Amityville into a search engine to look for Amityville history or the Native Americans that were in Amityville or the original settlers of Amityville, Chamber of Commerce, without having to sift through entry upon entry upon entry about the Amityville horror case. That's what, and that was one of the things that made this episode so hard to assemble.
Yeah,
there's just so much information out there.
Yeah, it's like Googling John Smith,
right,
and trying to find the one that you're looking for.
Yeah, this is the demonic John Smith,
right?
You know. Yeah. Now, at least, I stopped counting at 15. So at least 15 books have been written about the Amityville Horror.
You stopped counting,
including the most famous one, the one I already mentioned.
Yeah.
The book called simply The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson. Now, when Jay Anson published The Amityville Horror in 1977, it was incredibly popular because it was billed as a true story. We're talking it sold over 10 million copies worldwide.
Yeah.
And the book by Jay Anson was based on the supposed real experiences the Lutz family had for 28 harrowing days in their home at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. What came to forever be known as the Amityville Horror House.
Do you think anyone called him Jansen?
I don't think so.
I would.
I know you would. And the Jay Anson book is what the original movie is based on, as I said. And the original movie, in 1979 alone, grossed $86.4 million just in the U.S., the equivalent of $302.6 million in today's money. So you could see from the number of movies, books, documentaries, whatever, the Amityville horror topic is a cash cow. And we, the movie-going, paranormal-obsessed, true crime-loving public, love it. Just do me a favor. Type into the YouTube the word Amityville. That'll give you an idea just how popular this topic is.
What's the general top hits on that? Is it the movies first?
Documentaries first.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, documentaries first. There's a lot, and we'll get into this with the Warrens, the demonologists.
Yes, that's right.
Tons of interviews with them.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense.
And I'm going to have links to a couple things here in the show notes, so listeners check out the show notes. I'll mention those at the appropriate time. But yeah, just YouTube it and sit back and waste weeks like I did.
Waste weeks.
Not waste weeks, you know what I mean.
I know.
So
I'm curious if this is covered. Like, I mean, there must be no angle left to cover this in.
Oh, yes, there is, and I didn't even get into the newest angle. I just didn't get into it.
That's that's even more interesting. Is that because there's a lack of lack of creativity as to finding a new angle?
It's still unfolding. This new angle is still unfolding.
Okay,
and a lot of journalists, people who've studied this, authors.
As much documentaries about this as the John Benet Ramsey thing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, probably scores more.
Yeah.
But this newest angle, people are just shitting all over it, saying it's not.
Yeah.
It's poorly researched, poorly done. So I didn't even include it in this one. But no, it's still going.
Wow.
This is still going. There's still going to be movies coming out. It's huge. And so let's sink our teeth into this wonderfully spooky topic and try to figure out what really happened in Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's get into some history. I always like to do a little bit of background on this stuff before we get into the stories.
I love your background. Yeah.
So, located in the town of Babylon on the south shore of Long Island in Suffolk County, New York, Amityville, which is a real place, listeners. Amityville is real. It wasn't made up for Hollywood like the town of Amity, Long Island was for the Jaws franchise. Amityville has a population of 9,523 as of the 2010 census. Not a big place.
Well, the new census is coming back up. I wonder how many people left.
What's that?
Well, 2020 is about to come up.
Oh, the new census?
Yeah.
Now, the first settlements in Amityville were started in 1653 by English farmers and fishermen from a nearby settlement called Huntington, Long Island. According to the Amityville Historical Society, the land that would become Amityville was purchased from local Indians that belonged to the Montucket Nation. Huntington farmers were interested in the area that would become Amityville because of the abundance of something called salt hay, which made perfect feed for raising livestock. And the Huntington fishermen were interested because of the land's proximity to the bay. The land purchased by the English was originally called Huntington West Neck South, but according to legend, the name was changed to Amityville in 1846. It's said that during a particularly rambunctious village meeting where residents were trying to work together to establish a new post office separate from Huntington, the meeting turned near riotous. Now, during the commotion, it said that one of the villagers yelled out, "What we need in this meeting is some amity." And the rest is history. And in case you don't know, the word amity means a friendly relationship between people or countries.
Like amiable.
Yeah, so Amityville literally translates to Friendlyville. But the Friendlyville horror just doesn't have that same ring, the same zest, right?
Yeah, no.
Other stories say that Amityville was named after a boat a local sawmill owner owned called Amity. Either way, the village of Amity was officially incorporated in 1894. Now, in the 1900s, farming and fishing communities gave way to tourists. Being situated on and between Great South Bay and South Oyster Bay, which both eventually open up into the Atlantic Ocean, the cool ocean breezes and the beaches were just too much for people to resist. So hotels and tourists squeezed out the farmers and fishermen, and Amityville became a must-visit destination for rich Manhattanites, businessmen, and artists.
So it became a more like a early century yuppie version of itself?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of like from working man to tourist attraction.
To tourist must visit place.
It does have very Jaws attraction to it. Remember all the stuff that the mayor was saying about tourist stuff and seasons and stuff?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that a little bit because you mentioned Jaws earlier.
Right. Now, people like Annie Oakley, the famous sharpshooter and member of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, frequented Amityville. Al Capone from Chicago had a house in Amityville. And Will Rogers, American movie star and cowboy, also lived there. Now, I found this interesting. Since 1979, Amityville and the village of I don't speak French, La Bourget, France, have been what's called
Nailed it, by the way.
twinning. Did I nail that?
No, I was joking.
La Bourget. They've been twinning. And twinning is where officially one city hosts residents of another on a regular basis. In 1979, Amityville Mayor Victor Niemi and La Bourget Mayor Andre Cadeau signed a friendship proclamation. Ever since, people from La Bourget will come to stay with families in Amityville and vice versa. And the hosting families will take their visitors to popular destinations in the host town. It's a way to show solidarity. Like, no matter how different we are with language and culture, we're more alike as human beings than not. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a nice practice.
Yeah.
I like that. I like hearing that.
So, Amityville isn't all evil.
Oh, no, it's all evil. It's like Pet Cemetery Land.
Now, we can't talk about the Amityville Horror without talking about Native Americans. Huge plot points in both Jay Anson's book and the 2005 Amityville Horror remake are long-dead, pissed-off Native Americans and a man by the name of John Ketcham. Now, Oscar, you said you saw the remake with Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah, I don't remember, though.
Do you remember the phrase, catch him and kill him? Catch him and kill him, catch him and kill him. It was spelled out on the refrigerator and those children's letter magnets. Do you remember that?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I'm sure listeners are out there like, oh my God, I remember. It was creepy. Now, John Ketcham is who the phrase is referring to, this character. All right, so according to Jay Anson, while George and Kathleen Lutz were trying to find out why their house was so haunted, a member of the Amityville Historical Society told them that on the land on which their house was built was at one time used by the Shinnecock Indians as a makeshift sanitarium, or as the historian put it, quote, an enclosure for their sick, mad, and dying, end quote. The Shinnecocks, according to the historian, would leave their sick, mad, and dying enclosed on the property until they succumbed to exposure, basically until they died from starvation or dehydration. You see, to the Shinnecocks, the land wasn't sacred, it was infested with demons, which is why they placed their outcasts on the land, and also why they wouldn't bury their loved ones on the land. Sounds pretty scary and undoubtedly like a recipe for an extreme haunting and all sorts of crazy otherworldly shit. Shit like the Lutzes, and to an extent, someone named Butch DeFeo, who we will get into, experienced on the property centuries later.
Do they have any reason as to what made them think that the land was demon infested?
No, not at all.
What about
That's just the legend?
What about as a general, like, anthropological paper or research on it? Like, there's got to be historians out there looking into, I mean, they must know also, some of them, how a culture can come to believe a place or a land or an object or a person is possessed or evil, right, or their version of evil.
No, I get you.
I mean, usually, a lot of times you hear stories, not that you hear stories on the grapevine, but when you read them or you read papers like this, journals like this, is that you see that it tends to be from, like, for example, like they had like bad luck hunting in that ground. Like,
now it's cursed.
3 times in a row, they couldn't, for some reason, around that area, right? And they call it cursed. Yeah. Or, like, their loved one of the chief died, or something like that. Some girl died there by accident. There's some fluke of an accident. That place is cursed. You think of things like that. I was curious if...
Nothing.
Anything like that.
Nothing. It just was.
Yeah. Okay.
But the problem is, with this whole Shinnecock thing brought forth by Jay Anson, as supposedly told to the Lutzes by this Amityville historian, all the claims, completely unfounded. None of the Shinnecock lore associated with the Amityville Horror property has held up to scrutiny over the years. And in fact, according to historians, the Shinnecock, they lived over 50 miles from what would become Amityville. So this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? But it's perpetrated as truth. Excuse me. Now there is so what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to tie, because there is Indian lore in Long Island and in Amityville. So another story associated with Indians. There's an Amityville town legend of an enraged sachem, or Indian chief, named Takapusha, chief for the Massapequans.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Takapusha accused Long Island settling Dutch of not properly compensating his tribe properly for land. You see, historically, the English settled in the eastern part of Long Island, and the Dutch settled the western part, with the Nassau-Suffolk County line being the border between the two. Now, the Dutch were known to be rather harsh with the natives, and because of the rising native-Dutch tensions over land acquisition, the Dutch settlers hired a notorious Indian fighter from Salem, Massachusetts, named John Underhill, to take care of the escalating Indian problem.
And his name sounds menacing.
Oh, yeah. No, he was a bad motherfucker. Huh. In 1644, in a single day, John Underhill and his men killed about 120 Massapequans in a place called Fort Neck, about 3.5 miles from the Amityville Horror House property. This was the only major Indian battle on Long Island. The murdered Indians were buried in a mass grave, and among the killed was Chief Takapusha. Because of the killings and the disrespectful mass burial, it's said that Takapusha still haunts the lands where the slaughter happened and is out to get revenge by possessing people and killing them. And it's a tragic story, but the Massapequan killings and mass burial did not happen on or too near the Amityville Horror property, so no Indian connection. Then there's the ghostly tale of the Indian Princess of Lake Ronkonkoma, or just the Lady of Lake Ronkonkoma. Supposedly, according to legend, a beautiful Indian woman fell in love with a white settler, but her father was vehemently against the relationship. Unable to cope, the woman committed suicide in a canoe in the middle of Lake Ronkonkoma. When the white settler found his lover's body in the canoe, he too committed suicide. And the legend goes that the Lady of Lake Ronkonkoma drowns one man a year in the lake in hopes of finding another soulmate. And according to reports, this has been true for the last 200 years, that at least one person has drowned in Lake Ronkonkoma, the majority of them males. Problem here is, Ronkonkoma, Long Island is over 20 miles away from Amityville, so there's still no Indian connection to the Amityville Horror property.
Well, that's also something else we should take into account right there, which, by the way, that's a gnarly story. Right? That's pretty cool. Yeah. The Lady of Ronkonkoma, that's pretty cool. Although, where is he? If he committed suicide, I guess he didn't do it on the lake. Location, folks.
Yeah, no, it's unclear if he did it there on the shores or elsewhere.
No, I'm just saying, it's kind of curious. But no, what I was going to say is that another thing we should take into account, and something we've experimented in the present day, is that energies like this, haunting shifts, ghosts, whatever, can be moved. They can be. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to excuse it, that they are indeed in Amityville or in that house or anything. But I'm saying is that we've seen Dave play with this. And it's not exactly impossible that they would shift en masse. Like if there's an attraction, like a coyote would go to where the herd is at. If the herd's over there 20 miles away, they might go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's 100% possible, but I'm saying, things don't always have to stay in that location.
Right. No, it's a good point. Yeah. And, I mean, we've seen it, you're right, with Dave. And Joe, to an extent, too.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, the listeners, it's all up to them what they believe with this story once it's fully laid out. But so far, there's no direct Indian connection to this property like Anson claimed.
I definitely like the background you're disproving.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to disprove. I want to believe in the Amityville. I love this story.
Yeah.
But, well, I'll reserve judgment till later.
And you think of other things, too. Like, we don't blame a city. Like, a city isn't haunted, but a lot worse happens in a city over its time than a strip of land that has one town or just a road, right? Because what the city alone, the Devil in the White City, that area. You think that place, or that entire South Side, or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's
you
the
think,
South Side of Chicago.
You think all of that? You think of all the mafia that dumped bodies on the river, and you think all that is always haunted. I mean, there's so much energy; it probably nullifies everything out.
I don't know.
I mean, is Norwich or
we don't know
the Gacy thing? Is all that
Howard
haunted?
Heights, right?
I know you
good
told me
point.
about that one story that lady saw that one thing in the window.
Yes.
But beyond that point, no one goes back to it like the way we do with Amityville.
That's right.
I mean, that's just city though. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if that helps the case or hurts it.
Right.
But I always thought of that too. Like cities are never seen as haunted or anything.
It's true.
It's
true. And Amityville, man, it's got a bad reputation.
Definitely.
Now, another interesting thing listeners could do is research crime in Amityville. There's a lot of weird shit that happens, and I didn't even touch on it in this episode.
It's only 9,000 population, right?
Yeah, 9,005 or something like that.
So.
There's a lot of weird shit that
Really?
goes on. A lot of weird ties to other famous cases and killers.
You're kidding.
And oh yeah, Poltergeist gets drawn into this, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison's wife, who was a practicing witch from Amityville, or girlfriend or something like that. Strange murders,
Wow.
really sick stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. So maybe a city is haunted, a town is haunted. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
But so far, no Indian connection, right? Now, what about this John Ketcham? Ketcham and Kill 'em, right?
Yeah.
Mentioned in the book and in the 2005 remake. Well, there's actually two Ketchums. In Jay Anson's book, it's John Ketcham. And in 2005 Amityville Horror remake, it's Reverend Jeremiah Ketcham. Now, in the book, John Ketcham was a notorious Amityville settler who was chased out of Salem, Massachusetts for practicing witchcraft. When John Ketcham arrived in Amityville, he made his residence not 500 feet from where the Amityville Horror House would be built, where he continued to practice witchcraft and devil worship. Anson also claims that John Ketcham is buried somewhere on the Amityville Horror House property. Now, in the remake, the 2005 movie, John Ketcham, the devil worshipper, was transformed into Reverend Jeremiah Ketcham, a fanatical cult-like figure whose mission was to rid Amityville of Indians or convert them from their savage ways by any means possible. And of course, the movie depicts horrible acts of atrocity committed by Ketcham onto the natives in the basement of the Amityville Horror House, culminating in Ketcham slitting his own throat in the house in order to live there forever as a deranged spirit. None of this, neither Jay Anson's devil-worshipping Salem escapee John Ketcham or the movie's fanatical, murderous, suicidal Jeremiah Ketcham, have any basis in reality. Now, there were Ketchums in Huntington and Amityville. Now, as notes from George Lutz himself state, John Ketcham was born in England in 1622. This John Ketcham and his family immigrated to Ipswich, Massachusetts, a community near Salem, when this John Ketcham was 20 years old. He was freed from his family. I'm guessing that means emancipated from his family.
Yeah.
And arrived in the Huntington, Amityville area as an indentured servant. This John Ketcham eventually bought land, married a woman named Bethia, and became a representative of Ipswich to the Massachusetts Bay General Court at Boston. And John Ketcham, our John Ketcham, this one, died in 1697, a prominent citizen. And just so you know, and there was absolutely no connections to witchcraft, and he wasn't a reverend. George Lutz's notes, where this information came from, George got him from the Ketcham Genealogy Organization. The Ketcham Genealogy Organization. So I take it as fact. Now, this John Ketcham, the one we're talking about, his descendant was a man named Zebulon Ketcham. It's a cool-ass name. I love that, Zebulon.
Dude, that's like a villain from, like, Star Trek.
Oh, dude, it's so awesome.
Or
I'm
like
going to have
race of people.
another son, just to name him Zebulon.
Yeah, I'm from the Zebulon race. Zebulonian.
Yeah, I'm a Zebulon Knight.
Yeah, Zebulon Knight.
Now, Zebulon was a Revolutionary War hero who dined with President George Washington.
It was a badass.
Yes, because of his war record and his prominence in Amityville, The surname Ketcham today could be found in quite a few spots around Amityville, including the street name Ketcham Avenue. It's all named after Zebulon. No connections to witchcraft or murder,
Right.
and definitely no association with the Amityville property. So, as we go through the Amityville Horror, we have to ask ourselves, what is fact and what is fiction, and what are possible motives behind the stories? Okay, so far, Indians and Ketchum, complete fabrication. So that's a little bit of history about Amityville. Now, what about the house itself?
Made out of wood.
Made out of wood.
I'm kidding, maybe not.
So the Amityville Horror House was built in 1924 or 27. The records differ. And it's a beautiful, beautiful 3-story, 4,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, waterfront Dutch colonial, complete with a boathouse. That, of course, over the years has hosted several families. Now I want you to keep this in mind. No one, besides the DeFeo family, specifically Butch DeFeo, and we're going to get into the DeFeos, and of course the Lutz family, no other owner of the Amityville house ever complained about paranormal activity inside this home. No one. Remember, we must try to decipher fact from fiction and motive when talking about this. So let's start with taking a look at the Amityville Horror House's ownership history. Where the Amityville Horror House sits today was once a much larger parcel of land owned by the Ireland family. In the mid to late 1800s, the Irelands divided up and sold parcels of their land, including one narrow parcel where the Amityville Horror House would be built. This narrow parcel was sold to the Moynihan family. There was a house existing on the land, which was built in 1890, and the Moynihans lived in that house for a bit, but they outgrew that home. So they had the original home moved up the block some, well, up the way some, there wasn't blocks back then.
Yeah.
And they began to build a large Dutch colonial more fitting for their family.
How big was the original?
There's pictures of it online. It looks like a little shack, really.
Like a bungalow?
Maybe a 2-bedroom or something like that.
Bungalow or less?
Less, definitely less
Okay.
than a Chicago
Because I know
bungalow.
those were bigger.
And it wasn't brick like a bungalow. It was all wood.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah. Now, the Dutch colonial the Moynihans built, what would become the Amityville Horror House, as I said, was finished in 1924 or 27. Records differ, but it certainly was not built in the 1600s, like Jay Anson said in his Amityville Horror book.
Huh. That's crazy.
And the house originally had a street address of 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville. A man by the name of John Moynihan died in the home in 1939. I'm assuming that was the father, the leader of the home.
Do you know his age? We can find out. Oh, no.
No, I did not get the age.
I mean, it's okay. I was saying we could just add to the years. But yeah, it sounds like it's most likely.
Yeah. And ultimately, the Moynihan family lived in that home, the what would become the Amityville home, up until 1960. The house was then passed down to Eileen Fitzgerald, the Moynihan's daughter, who kept the home for approximately 9 months, then sold it to Joseph and Mary Riley in October 1960 for $35,000. The Rileys lived in the home for just about 5 years and then sold to the DeFeo family in June 1965 for, quote, $10 and other valuable consideration, end quote.
What do you think that means? What would you think that would mean?
We're going to get into that.
Okay.
I promise. We're going to get into that.
Okay. Can you imagine a wholesome version of what you think that could mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds so shady.
Well, just wait.
Right, doesn't it, though?
Just wait.
Okay.
It does, and just wait.
I was just asking if it does. I'm not saying tell me.
So the DeFeos lived in the home,
Yeah.
which Ronald DeFeo Sr. named High Hopes, from June 1965 to November 13th, 1974, the day of the DeFeo Murders, which we're going to get into.
Right.
The DeFeos did some renovations to the home, including adding an in-ground swimming pool. After the murders, from November 14th, 1974 to December 17th, 1975, The home, now considered a tainted property, stood vacant, locked up in the DeFeo estate. George and Kathleen Lutz purchased the now tainted DeFeo home on December 18, 1975, for a deeply discounted price of $80,000. And the Lutz family lived at 112 Ocean Avenue for only 28 days, ultimately fleeing the home due to demonic forces attacking the family on January 14, 1976, never to return. From January 15, 1976 to March 17, 1977, the infamous house stood again empty. First, the Lutzes held onto it, and then the bank took it. The Lutzes decided to just let the bank have it instead of them trying to sell it. 112 Ocean Avenue was then sold to James and Barbara Cromartie for $55,000 in March 1977. Now, the poor Cromarties, they're the ones that had to deal with the most shit.
Really?
By the time they purchased the home, Jay Anson's book was out and flying off of shelves. The Cromarties had to deal with throngs of curiosity seekers, paranormal investigators, psychics, and weirdos of all type flocking to their home in hopes of experiencing just some of what the Lutzes supposedly experienced. According to neighbors, Ocean Avenue became a circus, and the Cromarties were harassed nonstop. Buses lined Ocean Avenue filled with tourists trying to get a glimpse of the demonic home. People tried to chop pieces off the house with a hatchet.
You're kidding.
To take as a morbid memento. No, this came right from Amityville police.
I remember that Bonnie and Clyde thing.
Oh, right. Yeah. People would camp out overnight on the Cromarties' lawn, on neighbors' lawns, believing that they would likely experience the paranormal at the time the DeFeo murders happened, between 3 and 3:15 a.m. The Cromarties and their neighbors hated it, as did all of Amityville.
Oh, man, that must be... Yeah, that's just awful. I mean,
yes.
You think of I'm trying to think of a good example, because there's so many cases like that.
I can't even think of something.
No, well, the Bonnie and Clyde thing came in my head because that movie's out. You know, The Highwaymen.
Great show, by the way.
A show or movie?
Movie. Netflix movie.
Yeah, the Netflix movie. You know, when they were just towing the truck.
Oh yeah, people were trying to snap.
They
off
did. The watch is stealing shit off them.
Yeah.
The hair, locks of hair, the hat.
Yeah, here they were trying to take pieces of the home off with a hatchet.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's pretty bad.
Now here's something really interesting. On the night of April 30th, 1984, Walpurgisnacht night.
What was that?
Walpurgisnacht.
Okay.
In German folklore.
I know Nacht means night.
Walpurgisnacht, that's the night the witches congregate, a Sabbath.
Okay.
On this night, Walpurgisnacht, I love saying it, April 30th, 1984, would-be satanic murderer Ricky Kesso, along with some friends, held a satanic ritual on a neighbor's property very near to the Amityville Horror House, complete with a makeshift altar, candles, and a lot of drugs. Because Kesso believed that Satan lived in the house at 112 Ocean Avenue. Ricky Kesso, less than 2 months later, brutally mutilated and murdered George Lawers in the woods of North Point, Long Island, by gouging out his eyes and stabbing him 32 times, all the while yelling at his victim, "Say you love Satan! Say you love Satan! Say you love Satan!" as he's stabbing him and gouging out his eyes.
Is it Varg's father?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And according to some of Kesso's accomplices who was there, all this poor kid, George Lawrence, could say, all he said was, "I love my mother. I love my mother," before he was killed. So, just horrible. Now, what I find interesting, when I talked about the Shinnecock and the legends surrounding the Shinnecock, Capapusha, that Indian, remember?
Sold.
The vengeful... I'm not going to go back up in my notes.
I'm not going to remember.
The vengeful Massapequan Indian chief who was
that's not like Capusha?
By John Underhill. One of the things they say in the legend is that Kakapusha possesses people to kill them. Ricky Kesso did this satanic ritual at the house. Less than 2 months later, he turns into the satanic murderer. And it was a famous case. There's the Black Circle Boys, I think it's called. There's a movie based off Kesso.
I don't know the movie.
Really strange. And we'll hear a couple other things throughout this story.
It seems like a drug-fueled mania, though.
Oh, it certainly could have been.
Yeah.
But it just kind of tinges on the
You're right.
possibility of, shit.
It does not help anything. It's like one
there
of
you
those,
go. Does not help anything.
Bad apples to the reputation.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Does not help the reputation.
So, in order to try and curb the insanity and throw people off the scent, the Cromarties changed the home's address from 112 Ocean Avenue to 108 Ocean Avenue. I believe it was the Cromarties that also replaced those iconic quarter moon windows on the front of the Amityville house, the ones that glowed red in the movies and appeared to be oppressively staring down at passersby. They replaced those windows with normal-looking windows, again, to try and throw off the curiosity seekers. The Cromarties added a fence around the house, and they planted large greenery in front of the house, again, all in an attempt to keep the unwanted visitors at bay.
Yeah, it's like discouraging famous markers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to throw
basically.
people off the scent. Leave us the fuck alone. Now, the curiosity seekers aside, by all accounts, the Cromarties, they lived happily in the supposed demonic home for nearly 10 years. In August of 1987, the Cromarties sold 108 Ocean Avenue to Peter and Jeanne O'Neill for $325,000. The Cromarties made a killing. Good for them. And for 10 years, the O'Neills lived there in the home with zero complaints of demonic activity. Matter of fact, they sold their home reluctantly, choosing to sell only because the taxes were too damn high, preferring instead to give the money to their kids' college education instead of to Uncle Sam. There's even a news clip of Jeanne O'Neill saying straight into the news camera that everything was a fraud.
Do you think they bought it for that reason? Seems like they bought it to kind of like experience something almost.
I don't know. I've asked myself a number of times, would I love this stuff, but would I buy this home?
Right.
Open myself up to this stuff?
That reminds me of that, sorry, that keeps reminding me of things. There's this Ethan Hawke movie. I forget the name of it. It's escaping me. There's a sequel to it, too, where he's like a true crime writer, and he likes to mainly debunk like stories this. Sinister.
Thank
you. Wow, we both
Yes.
out of it, right? Second of the part.
Jinx, buy me a Coke.
And he puts his family in the actual house of the famous murder he's going to write about. It's like that. How do you do that? You know?
I can tell you right now,
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring Katie and the kids. I wouldn't buy the Amityville house with Katie and the kids.
Yeah.
If I was buying it with like a couple friends and this is a crash pad or something, fuck yeah, dude, all day long.
I would do it too.
I wouldn't bring my family in.
But day to day, like I think I would freak myself out. Like it won't even be any demonic. I wouldn't need their help to freak myself out. I just be like any moment of silence I have to myself, I'll just be thinking that.
Oh God, yeah.
And there's a gust of wind, and then I'll get freaked out. Like, how do you not?
But really, by
as logical as I can be, I still will
none
be
of these
freaked out.
people seem to care about that.
Yeah.
They saw probably a house for $325K sitting on the water.
Yeah.
4,100 square feet boathouse.
Right.
They're fuck yeah, dude. Let's buy this. What a great deal.
Yeah.
That's all they saw.
But still, the taxes
That's
were so
all the
high
Lutzes
that they
supposedly
still
saw.
sold it.
Yeah, taxes. I don't know the exact number, but
Yes.
they're astronomical. It's very expensive. This
Because
ocean
of its popularity, right? Or is it?
I think it's location. Now it's like water. It's big. Nice.
Yeah, you're right.
neighborhood.
Big places, the more population growth we have, the harder it is to get that.
Yeah. Plus, again, it's on the water. Anything on the water is expensive.
Yeah.
So now, I think I mentioned this to you offline, but I have a personal tie with the Amityville. Oh, I think I mentioned it at the top of the show too. I have a personal tie with the Amityville house.
You said that there was one, but you didn't mention what they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have two, really. While the O'Neills owned the house, I got a chance to visit it. Not inside or anything, unfortunately. This was in 1988 or 89 when I was 11 or 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and stepdad took me to the Amityville property. He was from Ronkonkoma, Long Island, actually.
You're kidding.
Over by the Lady of
Yeah, the lady, yeah.
Lake Ronkonkoma.
I remember.
Now, we couldn't get out and walk up to the house or even to the fence. There were way too many people around doing the same thing.
Oh, you're kidding?
No.
Still big attraction.
And right.
Well, 88, yeah, still not.
Police were there shooing everybody out.
Yeah.
But we did pull up to it. We got a good look at it. And I think my stepdad took pictures, but my mom talked to him as I was putting the show together. He can't find them. But my mom said that when we pulled up to the house in the car, there was a weird feeling coming from the house. And you know already by doing the show, Oscar, my mom feels this stuff.
Yes.
Either she was experiencing something real or kind of just like you said, maybe she was just feeling something knowing what happened there. The murders and the Lutz story. But nothing crazy happened, and we were chased out pretty quick. So I've actually been here. I've been in front of this home.
You have a vivid memory or anything? Or just a mild one?
I have a mild memory.
Gotcha.
Mild memory. My other connection to the Amityville Horror story, it's kind of a 6 degree of separation thing.
Yeah. You mentioned this too to me.
Yeah. Now, someone I knew, it's a famous Chicago ghost hunter named Richard Crow. Some of our listeners, especially from Chicago, know who that is.
Yes.
He's passed on now, rest in peace. Well, Richard Crow did a talk show with George Lutz back in the 80s. And according to Crow, what he told me personally was that George Lutz, he gave off the impression of being a snake, someone you absolutely couldn't trust. Crow's words to me about George Lutz were, quote, "He's the kind of guy you don't want to turn your back on," end quote. Listeners, take that however you want. Is George Lutz ultimately believable or not?
Isn't that the family name that the movie?
Oh yeah, the Lutzes. No, they were the Lutzes.
Yeah.
That wasn't made up. It was George and Ken.
No. But that's the famous Lutzes, which is funny because what would you say is more? I mean, because the movie made them famous. I mean, because not made them famous. Okay.
The book made them famous.
The book made them famous, right?
Yeah.
But the movie is what kind of sticks in the popular culture.
Probably more so than the movie, yes.
No. Oh,
wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that the movie probably sticks more in popular culture than the book.
Than the book, yes.
Because it's easier to sit through 2 hours and
Absolutely.
reading a 10-hour book.
And it was a fucking great movie.
And it's a great movie, yeah. Which I'm sure it is too. I just don't remember it. It's funny how the Lutzes seems to be the popular one when it's the other family, the ones the actual crime.
The DeFeos.
DeFeos, thank you. That's the one where.
Yeah, that really happened.
Yeah, I'm saying
there's questions to that murder too.
Yeah.
To those murders, but we're going to get into that.
Yeah, I know we will. I'm saying just interesting that the ones that this guy Richard Crowe said not to trust with anything.
George Lutz
is the one that made is more famous. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So anyway, back to the home ownership. The O'Neills sold to a man named Brian Wilson in June 1997.
The Brian Wilson?
No, not of the Beach Boys.
Oh, damn.
That would have been funny. In June 1997 for $310,000, a loss for the O'Neills, but not due to ghosts and demons, but because the property was in need of some major repairs, like foundation work. Brian Wilson, too, lived happily in the home with his family until September 2010, when he sold to David and Caroline D'Antonio for a whopping $950,000.
So he made it out.
Brian Wilson did really good for himself with the Amityville Horror property.
Be a real estate agent. How do you sell that house?
It's fun. Okay, since you asked. So
sorry.
It went up for sale again recently. I'm going to get to that. But
okay.
I was reading all about it.
Yeah.
You cannot see it unless you're pre-approved or money in hand, mortgage ready to go.
Huh.
They will not let you in those doors.
That's how much of a tight ship they have. So people
they have to,
because I can imagine people want to.
Assholes like me will
pretend
fly to Amityville.
Will pretend to be on the list.
You bet your sweet ass. I would fly to Amityville tomorrow if I had a chance to get
more
into
like a bitter
house.
ass.
And I fucking hate flying. I would fly my ass.
You would fly
Amityville.
Spirit.
I would fly Spirit to go see some fucking spirits,
right.
Man. That's why they got.
That's where I was
strict.
going with that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you jumped on that point.
Yes.
That's. Can you? Okay. Do you think that the person who's in charge of selling that property, like the real estate agent, do you think that's like a hazing?
I don't.
You're the last one hired. When this is free, you go.
What did I say for? $950,000.
Right, okay.
I'll take that hazing.
No, right, I know. But maybe
crazy.
the opposite, like seniority takes it or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they look at it as. That's my question. Because it looks like a pain in the ass to handle, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be. The
gotta
calls that's got to come in.
Oh, my
for
God.
it.
Exactly. That's what
Because
I'm
you
saying.
can't screen a call.
That must be part of the hazing of that.
You don't know.
Yeah, there's got to be something. Anyway, I just found that interesting.
No, it's a great question. The D'Antonios lived in the Amityville home for just about 7 years, and Carolyn D'Antonio decided to sell her home in 2017. Again, not because of ghosts, but because her husband, David, passed away. And Carolyn thought the house was just too big for her to upkeep.
Yeah.
Carolyn put the house on the market in February 2017 for $850,000. And within a very short time, I believe it was almost like just a week, they sold to a private buyer for $605,000. And that price, so it was less. They sold for less. And it might have something to do with the stigma. That's a big drop. Yeah. And the private buyer who bought it in 2017 lives there to this day. Now, from what I could tell, the private buyer is Kirk and Aaron H. I'm going to leave out their last name.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't think it's my place, right? I figured out who lived in the Amityville home today, who the new owners are, and it wasn't easy to do.
Yeah.
But on an Amityville Neighbor Report website, I found a name associated with 108 Ocean Avenue that I haven't seen in the records before, which was this family name that begins with H. So I'm assuming that's the most recent buyer. Again, I don't feel it's my place to release the family's last name, so I'm not going to. But what I did find is that Kirk H. is a safety training manager and acting generation training manager for an organization called National Grid. And there's a fairly recent news article about him saving an infant's life on a New York train after the baby stopped breathing.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to invade this fucking guy's privacy. He's a saint. And it looks like Aaron H., maybe his wife, runs her own holistic care business in Amityville. Acupuncture, cupping, stuff like that. So a lot of changing of hands in regards to the Amityville house, but I'd say nothing unusual for a 95-year-old home. And zero reports of anything out of the ordinary happening in the home outside of Butch DeFeo's claim and, of course, the Lutz Family Circus.
Yeah. It also feels like the power has gone away. You know, we talked about this in other little things and instances in our past shows. Most recently, like the Snake Mound, we gave that idea, that theory that maybe the batteries are dead.
Right.
There's a sense like the expiration date for the haunting is gone. You know, like it was in that window. And within that window, these things happened, and then now it's gone, and it's moved on or dissipated, or it could be that, you know.
It could be,
Right.
and the hype has definitely died down. Visitors still come. People still go there.
I bet. Look at you.
But it's right. But it's nothing like when those poor Cromarties own the house. Nothing like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know. But even if you go there to this day, you know, in 2019, you'll get shagged out.
Yeah.
Neighbors watch constantly. Police patrol constantly.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not from the neighborhood you're driving through, cops are getting called.
Yeah.
But it has died down. But they're still on alert, you know.
Yeah, I mean, still,
the movies are still being made. The book is still out there.
Yeah, I mean, you think also like Made Up Haddonfield, Illinois, right, with the Halloween Michael Myers house.
Yeah.
Constantly, the town people walk by it, and when the babysitter wants to approach it, the little boy is like, "Don't go in there, you crazy? That's the boogeyman." You know, there's stories, urban legends building around just that one neighborhood, and obviously that's just a fake movie, but yeah, take that into reality, some version of it where they will call the cops, fence it, and
yeah.
You know, actually, I think they did fence it in the later movies for Halloween, or some renditions of it. They did put a fence up.
Well, I think it was run down, and there were fences in front.
Yeah,
of it
exactly.
at that
Yeah.
point.
Anyway,
but no, this place is still. I mean, the house again, gorgeous, thriving on the wall, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's get into some of the good stuff. Now, the thing that birthed the entire Amityville horror craze, we'll call it, was the DeFeo family murders. If those murders didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about this today. Nor would there be lots of shitty movies about the Amityville horror, or endless books and documentaries dissecting the case. None of it. So let's take a look at what happened on that tragic morning in Amityville back in 1974. So, between 3 o'clock and 3:15 in the morning, on November 13th, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Joseph DeFeo Jr., or just Butch, who, among other things, was a known LSD and heroin user, took about 15 minutes to systematically execute his mother, father, and 4 siblings with a .35 caliber lever-action Marlin 336C rifle, a perfect weapon for hunters who need to take a quick action shot at big game at close range. Because, as Butch DeFeo claimed, voices in the house told him to, and a pair of ethereal black hands handed Butch the rifle to do it with. All victims were supposedly asleep in their beds as each murder took place, somehow undisturbed by the thunderous rifle shots echoing throughout the home. All victims were found laying face down in their beds, with no signs of a struggle, again, as if they were all still asleep, while Butch marched room to room, shooting everybody with his high-powered rifle. Now, it's important to note that the Marlin 336C rifle that Butch used was not fitted with a sound suppressor, and autopsies proved that the DeFeo family had not been drugged prior to the murders. Neighbors heard no gunshots. There was only one report from a neighbor that has the DeFeo's dog, named Shaggy, barking wildly around 3 a.m.-ish that morning. Shaggy was tied up outside near the DeFeo's boathouse, and to look back on it, Shaggy's barking was his reaction to the carnage happening inside the home.
Is that around the time it happened, they were saying?
Yes.
3 a.m.?
3 to 3:15 a.m.
Gotcha.
Now, other than that, other than Shaggy, neighbors didn't hear a thing. Now, here's the people that were executed in the order authorities believe they were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some really tragic stuff, obviously. There was Butch's father, Ronald Joseph Big Ron DeFeo Sr., age 43, killed with 2 rifle shots, one to the back and one to the neck. Butch's mother, Louise Brigante DeFeo, age 42, killed with 2 shots to the upper body. Butch's little brothers, John Matthew DeFeo, age 9, and Mark Gregory DeFeo, 12, who shared a bedroom. Both were killed with a single shot to the back at close range. And poor little Mark, he was wheelchair-bound, having suffered a severe football injury to his hip weeks before. Poor kid couldn't have run from his murderous brother if he wanted to. There was Butch's sister, Allison Louise DeFeo, age 13, killed with a single shot to the head at close range. And finally, his other sister, Dawn Therese DeFeo, age 18, also killed with a single shot to the head at close range. Now, some reports say Dawn and Allison shared a bedroom, and other reports say that Dawn's bedroom was actually on the 3rd floor. Either way, Dawn was found shot in the head in a 3rd-floor bedroom. She was laying on her stomach, just like everyone else, and was neatly tucked into bed. Dawn's blood and brains oozed off her pillow onto the bed and collected on the floor, yet the bed's headboard was spotless, as if Dawn's body had been placed in the position it was found, or the headboard had been cleaned, scrubbed. But why?
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of conspiracy surrounds Dawn's murder, and of course we'll discuss this a little later.
I would assume the conspiracy about Dawn's murder would be because, well, the headboard, but also because she's the last one, according to authorities.
Yes.
Last one, it's because that leaves open to things, to possibilities of what he could have done, right? Or what could have been done to the body before or after. The cleaning of the headboard is interesting because my next question would be, did they find any other traces of blood or, I don't know, tissue or brain matter on any other parts of the house?
No.
Right.
No.
That's the interesting part, because it seems like a rifle would make a splatter.
Now, at the crime scenes, carnage, right? Well, kind of, because
splatters, man.
Everyone was laying on their back, shot in a downward motion.
Oh, he was like right on top of them, right?
Yes.
Or
so
like right next to the bed.
You have a hole in the back, and all the carnage was done to the front, which was on top of the bed. So there really actually wasn't tons of gore in the room.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying gore. I was just saying, but you could see probably splatter. I mean, you can probably... Well, my point is that if, let's say, she was out of bed or something, or running, she actually woke up in time or something, and was running, and then... What's this guy's name? Ron?
Butch.
Butch, sorry, Butch.
For now, we'll call him Butch.
Butch
Yeah.
shot her and then placed her on the bed. Wherever he shot her, ideally would be splatter of some sort.
Well, let's hold that thought.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's hold that thought.
Was that found? So that's my first thing.
So the answer to your question is no.
Right. That'll be my first question. I'm not saying you have to answer it right now, but
Yes.
that'll be my first question about that. And then the idea of the headboard is if it's the third floor, I don't know if there's significance to the third floor, but what on earth could there possibly be reason to cleaning that out?
Right, exactly.
Now, was there a hole through the bed?
You can't see.
I mean, but could they tell?
Well, she was shot in the head.
Oh, that one was the head, not the back?
Correct. Both sisters shot in the head.
Right, head. That's very specific. Head, 2 for the parents, 1 for the boys, but they were in the back.
Yes.
And then the girls were in the 1 shot apiece, but to the head. It's like it seems like a ritual. Seems like a number. Like 2 for the adults, 2 apiece. 1 back for boys, male. 1 head for girls each. Yeah. You know, that seems like a sequence. You know,
it's something.
It's something. I'm just saying. It could have just been the way he did it to be linear. I don't know.
Well, 2 shots to the parents, doesn't that seem a little more aggressive? Anger, maybe. I'm making sure you're fucking. You know, that's kind of what I get out of it. Mm-hmm. Both parents were shot twice. Bam, 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 bam. Where everyone else just once. You know.
You think that the 1 shot for the siblings means that Butch is more passive towards them?
Yes, kind of.
Slightly more merciful?
A little more merciful, maybe.
Or is it just like a very clean thing to do?
Don't know.
It seems like a clean thing to do to me. I don't think it's more calculating to shoot twice, so 2 times for the 2 fully grown adults that could overpower him.
So you're thinking maybe that was just a way...
Mm-hmm. Just seems very clean that way.
I'm not shooting it. I'm going to make sure they're not just incapacitated. They're these people who could possibly overtake me, like you said.
Yep.
Dead.
Yes.
It's possible, sure.
That was my first thought. I wasn't thinking anything like merciful in any way. Or extra
that's
angry.
fair.
Or
That's
extra
fair.
angry. I wasn't thinking that either. And the one thing that throws me off the most obvious thing is that no one woke up.
Right.
Is the idea that they were in a deep sleep of some sort, and that gave them the opportunity to do that.
Exactly. Hold on to that thought. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, right here in these killings, we have some factors that really drive home to the Amityville believers, we'll call them, that something more than just a crazy asshole was happening in the Amityville house the morning of the murders. When the victim bodies were discovered, their position is what believers point to as proof that something more sinister was going on. Believers claim that a demonic force held the family members down to their beds, the same demonic force that told Butch to kill his family and handed him the gun, which rendered them helpless and prevented them from running or fighting, which in turn gave Butch ample time to walk room to room and systematically murder his family without interruption. I mean, we're just saying it is weird that despite the deafening shots from Butch's rifle, no one in the house heard it, or tried to run and hide, or put up a fight. Hell, they didn't even seem to stir in their beds, apparently.
Also, they're all face down.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, I sleep face down too, but not everyone does. My brother sleeps face up.
Everyone in the whole house, right?
Right,
It's
everyone
weird.
in the house, you know.
So this is what believers cling to. Then there's the fact that no one around the house, neighbors, heard anything more than a dog barking, despite Butch firing 8 shots from a rifle at arguably the quietest time of the day, around 3 to 3:15 a.m. Police even did a sound test later on, and a shot from a Marlin rifle could be heard 4 to 5 blocks away.
What's the nearest neighbor's house? Like, how far is it?
It's right there.
It's right there, yeah.
It's like maybe a little bit further than me and my neighbors.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's not sprawling country.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy stuff. Now, there is a theory floating around that the evil energy in the house somehow suppressed or absorbed the sounds of the gunfire. Something that George Luss also claims is part of the house's nature, sound suppression, which is another reason why no one stirred from their beds and why neighbors didn't hear anything but the dog barking. The dog was tied up outside the house and was therefore outside the sphere of influence of whatever had hold of the family inside.
So it seems like if whatever, let's just call the house or the area has this power of noise suppression, it seems like it just suppressed the sound of the gunfire. Instead of hiding it from everyone around them, it just suppressed the one source, right?
Seemingly.
I mean, that's specific.
Maybe.
That's very specific. And suppressing the noise of the gunfire to every living human and not a dog obviously seems like specific influence, like
It does,
the opposite of a dog whistle or something, you know?
It does.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that can't be refuted about this entire Amityville thing.
Mm-hmm.
This really happened.
Yeah.
This is how these people were found, undisturbed. You know, and those big houses, they have echoes. Mm-hmm. Neighbors not blocks away. They're next door neighbors like any other neighborhood, maybe just a little bit further spaced out.
Yeah.
Right? But this still happened. So we have 6 people dead, shot to death in their beds while they slept. Now, after murdering his family, Butch didn't run. He instead gathered up his bloody clothes and the murder weapon and stuffed them into a pillowcase. He then calmly showered, shaved, and changed clothes. Butch DeFeo then drove to a Brooklyn suburb and ditched the pillowcase containing his bloody clothes in a storm drain. He then went to work. Now pay attention. He then went to work at the Carl Brigante Buick dealership in Brooklyn, where Ronald DeFeo Sr. worked as a very well-paid assistant service manager, and where Butch himself also kind of worked. He was known as just kind of a sloppy work, came and went as he pleased. You know, he just kind of putzed around there, you know.
Okay.
Now, Butch arrived to work at a very early hour that day and fell asleep in his car waiting for the dealership to open. Once the dealership opened, he fiddled around the dealership a while, then spent some of the day with his girlfriend, and of course did some drinking and slammed some heroin with his friend, Joe Yeswit. All the while, Butch claimed to anyone that would listen that he was really worried about his family because he couldn't get a hold of them despite their cars being in the driveway.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Okay. Obviously he's saying this, but I know that's not what he did. He knows, but I don't know if he knows. But I guess my thing would be like, did he not live there?
Oh, no, he lived there.
Right. Okay, so I got that right. He lived there.
Butch lived in the home. Absolutely, he lived in the home.
So how can he say he tried to get a hold of them despite there were cars that he just drive by?
Oh, you'll see here, but he was making calls to the home in front of people.
Yeah,
I get into this.
Alibi making.
Yes.
That's what I was going to go with next. Okay.
Yes. So Butch, here it is. Butch even made numerous attempts to call his family in front of his girlfriend, in front of Yeswit, and from a bar he and Yeswit were drinking at called Henry's, a watering hole not too far from his home at 112 Ocean Avenue. At one point, under the guise of being worried about everyone back home, Butch left Henry's bar to quote-unquote go check on his family. Now, at around 6:30 p.m. that same day, the day of the murders, Butch ran back to Henry's, burst through the doors, and frantically declared, "You gotta help me. I think my mother and father are shot." Now, Butch, along with a small group of friends from the bar, including his friend Joe Yeswit, flew back to the DeFeo home and, of course, found Butch's parents dead, shot. Yeswit called the Suffolk County Police, and when the cops searched the home, they unfortunately found not only Mr. and Mrs. DeFeo killed, but discovered Butch's brothers and sisters dead as well.
Yeah.
Now, while at the scene, Butch played the anguished son, and he was really cooperative with police. And he told the cops that he thought the murders were committed by a known mob hitman named Louis Fellini. According to Butch, Fellini showed up at 112 Ocean Avenue with an unnamed male accomplice, and Fellini held a gun to Butch's head and made him watch as the two men executed his family. Butch told police that he and Fellini had a falling out, Butch calling Fellini a cocksucker, after Fellini complained about some work Butch did at the Carl Brigante Buick dealership over in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So the hit, according to Butch, was retribution for the falling out. At first, police believed the hitman's story, thinking Butch was simply a lucky survivor of a terrible mob hit. Then when Butch's story began to show inconsistencies, And ultimately, this Fellini guy had a solid alibi for the night of the murders, which proved he was out of town at the time of the killings, and police finding a box for a recently purchased Marlin rifle in Butch's bedroom. That's when police turned to the family's oldest son as likely the real murderer. The next day, November 14th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. confessed to the murders, stating, quote, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast. It was like something was in me," end quote. DeFeo was brought to trial in October of 1975, and his lawyer, William Weber, mounted an affirmative defense of insanity. And this is where it gets really interesting. According to DeFeo and his lawyer, Butch heard the voices of his family plotting against him to kill him, which is why he had to kill them first. And this insanity claim was backed up by Dr. Daniel Schwartz, psychiatrist for the defense. But the psychiatrist for the prosecution, Dr. Harold Zolan, argued that Butch suffered from antisocial personality disorder. He was not insane and knew full well the implications of his actions. Ultimately, the prosecution won. Butch DeFeo was found not insane, and in November of 1975, Ronald Joseph DeFeo Jr. was convicted on 6 counts of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 25 years to life on all 6 counts. He's currently serving his sentence at the Sullivan Correctional Facility in Fallsburg, New York. All of DeFeo's parole attempts have been denied. Seems like an open and shut case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not so much. So I mentioned the hitman, Louis Fellini, and I also mentioned the Carl Brigante car dealership in Brooklyn. Now, the Carl Brigante dealership was owned by Butch's maternal grandfather, Mike Brigante Sr., who, in most all reports and stories, was a powerful, wealthy man that had very close connections to the New York Mafia, if he wasn't a loosely connected member himself. In fact, as it turns out, Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s great-uncle was none other than Peter DeFeo, a New York mobster who became capo regime of the Genovese crime family. Oh. So there are definitely organized crime connections with the DeFeos. Now, listeners, you have to understand, Butch DeFeo, the most unreliable person there is. Go figure. Murderous heroin and LSD user with organized crime connections. Butch's story has changed a number of times since his arrest, trial, and incarceration. And we'll get into some of his claims. But for now, let's consider that the murders really were committed by someone else in retaliation for some offense committed by Butch. Now, I'm not saying the grandfather, Brigante, had his daughter and grandchildren killed. I'm not saying that. But there are stories that someone was using the DeFeo house to store illicit money and jewels, namely in a small basement room created for just that use. And people familiar with the Amityville story right now are saying, wait, small basement room? That's the Red Room. Let's hold that for a while. Other reports say that large amounts of drugs were being run through the home, either by Butch or by Butch and his father, possibly for the Mafia. Now, sometime before the murders, on his way to deposit money for the Carl Brigante Buick dealership, Butch was, quote-unquote, held up, robbed, to the tune of over $20,000, money that the dealership never saw again. Many believe this was a staged robbery, and Butch made off with the money. Butch was also arrested at one point for pulling an insurance scam, possibly with his father's help, after he burnt a boat to collect the insurance money. He, Butch, was arrested for stealing outboard motors to sell. Got to remember, Butch was a heroin addict. And what we know about heroin addicts, if they don't have the money to support their habit, they'll lie, rob, steal, and cheat to get money, to support it. Even lie, rob, steal, and cheat from powerful people. Now, if you remember back when I was laying out the past homeowners at 112 Ocean Avenue, I said the DeFeo's home was purchased for $10 and other valuable interests. What were those interests? What was being held at the DeFeo house that Butch could have possibly made off with, that would have enraged someone so badly that the only retaliation was to murder an entire family? Jewels, drugs, cash, Who knows? So yes, there is a theory that the DeFeo murders were really a mob hit for some offense. Either Butch, his father, or both committed against the mafia. In Christopher Barry Dee's book, Serial Killers, Up Close and Personal, Inside the World of Torturers, Psychopaths, and Mass Murderers, Derry Bees states that Butch DeFeo was visited in prison by known wise guys and the FBI. And the FBI asked him questions about the Carl Brigante dealership and his grandfather, Mike Brigante, and his uncle Peter DeFeo, the capo regime for the Genovese crime family, and their connections to the New York Mafia. Barry Dees also claims there was wiretap conversations between Mike Brigante, the grandfather, and Peter DeFeo, where Brigante, the grandfather, was overheard saying, quote, "Butch knows too much," end quote, and that they were going to have him killed in prison. And well after the DeFeo murders, neighbors began to talk to the media, stating that they knew there were all sorts of illegal activity running through the DeFeo home, and that the neighbors were afraid of the DeFeos. Matter of fact, neighbors close to the house now claim that they did hear gunshots that morning, but were just too damn afraid of retaliation if they spoke to the police or the media about it.
All of them? Or some of them?
Whoever heard the shots.
Wait, who was claiming that?
The neighbors. Some of the neighbors. Unnamed.
Okay.
Unnamed. So that's the mafia connection. Then there's Butch DeFeo's claim that he didn't murder his family at all, that it was really his sister, Dawn DeFeo, that did the killing, and Butch killed Dawn for killing the family. According to Butch, and remember, all we have to go on is Butch DeFeo's word. Anyone else who could corroborate his claims is dead. But according to Butch, his father was an extremely abusive and controlling man, constantly beating his wife and children. One time, when his father was punching his mother around, Butch grabbed a loaded gun, pointed it at his father, and pulled the trigger. But the gun jammed. This is the level of abuse and dysfunction we're talking about, according to Butch. Anyway, back to Dawn. The way Butch tells it, Dawn got fed up with her father's abuse and her mother's standing by doing nothing while the kids were being abused. So Dawn decided to end it, and she's the one who took the rifle and killed the family. When Butch discovered what Dawn had done, a fight ensued between brother and sister, Butch and Dawn, resulting in Butch shooting his sister in the bedroom in which she was found, and she happened to fall on her stomach underneath the covers.
That's crazy.
Nothing like I thought the Amityville story was, from years of just watching the movies and reading the book.
Yeah. Well,
so much.
It seems like much more bullshit about the Dawn thing, considering the under the covers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's Butch's newest story. It wasn't him, it was Dawn. He killed Dawn for killing the family.
Any of that you think can explain why the headboard was clean?
No. Unless she was placed there.
Right.
Unless she was placed there. But, as you asked, were there blood splatters all over the home where she could have been shot and then moved? The answer is no.
Answer is no. Okay. What about this red room thing?
So, the red room, if you remember from the movies and the book, it is a portal to hell that George Lutz discovered, the Lutz family discovered in their basement.
Okay.
And this is where all the evil energy comes from. It's a portal to hell.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to put this in the next episode, but as I said, the room in the basement, the red room, is the supposed source of demonic activity. Now, a childhood friend of the DeFeos, Patrick O'Reilly, who spent tons of time with the DeFeos in the home, refutes all claims that Mr. DeFeo, the senior, was abusive, said he was a great man, actually. Patrick O'Reilly does remember a red room in the basement because he and Mark DeFeo actually painted the room themselves. O'Reilly says that one day he and Mark DeFeo were in the basement, they were playing, and Mr. DeFeo came downstairs with a bucket of red paint and some rollers and said to the kids, "Here you go, paint the room and it'll be your toy room." O'Reilly says that if Mr. DeFeo had blue paint on hand, it would have been the blue room. He happened to have red on hand, so that's what it was. Nothing evil about it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, got a fact, fiction, motive. In the retelling of the Amityville story, and we're going to get into this in the next episode.
Yeah.
In the retelling of the Amityville story, suddenly that is the source of all hell. That is where the demons come from. It's an evil room. It was painted by two boys, one being a neighbor, just to make a toy room.
Well, yeah,
because red paint was on hand.
Well, I mean, how do you think legends start? Sometimes,
yes.
/ a lot of the time,
yes.
Something harmless or something that looks extra, evil, or something that looks, yeah. I mean, there's still some stuff though in the facts of the case that are not easily explained. And that is obviously the suppression of sound, which is the key thing that Butch would need in order to get away with his murder without his family noticing he's doing it. That's key. That's
it truly is.
Key. So beyond that point, I would say I can imagine. This reminds me of a short story that one Jason Knight wrote.
It's me.
Where a boy ended up killing one of his or all of his family members with a baseball bat.
Yes.
Remember this?
Yes.
I remember.
Based off a true story.
And yeah, I'm not saying it's this true story, but it reminds me in the sense that he did it under an influence, not his own. Yeah. And in the story, it ends with I believe the police officer saying that he did all this and he just woke up at that point. He didn't know what he had done.
Right.
And the idea of him being possessed or sent or manipulated to do something he didn't know he was doing.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that.
I'm flattered you remember that story. That was so long ago.
I remember a lot of things. And your birthday's coming up, for example.
Yes.
Although Facebook reminded me. Anyway, but yes, it's... It seems like, can you imagine waking up to that? Like, if he's by himself, right? No one heard the shots except for a dog. Waking up to that.
If you believe the neighbors, if you don't believe the neighbors that came out years later saying, oh, no, we did hear it, we were just too afraid to say.
Yeah.
If you believe that.
Also, I don't really. And even if I did, it's possible that... No, it's not possible. I don't know about that. Anyway,
crazy, right?
Yeah,
it is. It's mind bending.
It's nice. It's nuts. Not nice. It's nuts. I meant to say. I just want to imagine, let's say he is innocent, and it is something bad, meaning like an energy or demonic or evil or whatever. If that's the case, can you imagine waking up to, I assume, dawn as the last one? Just waking up after the last shot, seeing what you did that night, going through whatever, and then deciding. Is the deciding to do what he did, to create an alibi, go through all that,
all the
hang out with the girlfriend,
talking, yes.
and
showing up to work.
Yeah, that seems so human and selfish and premeditated in a way. And stupid, obviously, because he got caught. And when you start telling me about the story he was saying about Fellini, I was like, "Oh, dude, you shouldn't have said anything. You had it okay up until that point."
But what's funny is the cops believed him about this Fellini guy. So the
cops might know about him for sure. They want to hear something.
Or the cops knew about the connection with the DeFeo family and the mafia.
Right? Yeah.
And the cops are like, "Oh,
it's like fodder." Yeah, I get it. It's like you think of other things. What was that famous? Was it the Naperville woman? I don't know. Some one other murder case where the mother blamed some minority, but it was her the whole time that killed her children.
Didn't this happen recently too? Fairly recently?
I'm sure it happens all the time. Maybe, I don't know. But
yeah, you're right. She's like, black guy.
Yeah,
came
and a lot of people believed it right away.
Tons of people believed it.
Yeah, and then it was her.
It was. Yeah. You're right. And
it's kind of like that, but it's like more local. Like the local police know about this connection, know about Fellini. Maybe they would love to hear a story like, "Oh my God, this guy did it. Let's go get him." It's like a big caller for them, maybe, or something. So I think maybe that's what they responded to. And then once the story didn't make sense, that's when they pulled. But so my point is that it may seem like a sexy, appealing story to tell the cops, but the whole point is that that's where he fucked up.
Yeah, it's possible.
And it seems like a premeditated part of it. It's just that I just don't know how he could get away with the actual murdering.
The only other thing that could cross my mind is six shooters were in the house, and they all fired around the same time.
Yeah, I know.
But, according to ballistics, all the bullets came from a single gun, and that was the Marlin rifle.
Okay.
So there goes that theory. It's crazy. And there's other websites out there that'll tell you there's one bullet that's unaccounted for, and it was under Dawn's bed, and or no, not under Dawn's bed, under the second sister's bed. That can't be accounted for, and it was just a fluke of the way the bullet was shot. It actually is a bullet from that rifle. It just, for some reason, looked different. Something happened to the bullet during the firing that made it appear slightly different than the other bullets.
Yeah.
But I've read the ballistic reports; they all came from the same gun.
Yeah.
So again, back to how, why,
I don't know. Is this the point where we're saving it, or do you want to talk more theories?
We can
I want to know what part 2 is about.
Yeah, so part 2 is going to get more into the Lutzes,
only,
more
okay.
into what the Lutzes experienced.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that. I don't want to give too much away.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say that it's the red room that did it or anything like that. If this neighbor kid had been there before said that they painted it red and it just turned into it, it seems like a thing that would just feed the machine of legend and lore and urban legend. So I go with that. I don't think it's a real like hell dimension.
Right, and I think that was a room that they were possibly stashing stuff for somebody.
Right. I mean, I can see Butch hiding his drugs there or something.
Right.
Like, of course, yeah. Of course. Right. I mean, that doesn't have to be that.
Or I mean, let's face
criminal.
it. A car dealership in the late 70s in Brooklyn. Good chance there was organized crime involved in that dealership.
Yeah,
that was the times.
Extra trunk space.
What a perfect front, right? I mean, so was the DeFeos keeping stuff for the mafia in their home?
Yeah,
who knows? And Butch made off with it, pissed somebody off, and it was too much.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those businesses are kept also within the people and the family you are with, so that way, because they'll shut their mouths up, they won't say anything.
Right.
Things like that is common too.
Family member comes to me and says, "Here, hide this." I'm hiding.
I think the mob angle is it makes things more complicated, maybe, but I think the overall nature of the crime is nothing to do. I mean, not nothing. I don't want to say it has nothing to do with organized crime, this particular crime, because the one thing that does seem very mob-like is the 2 shots, the headshot. It's very clinical. Like they just shoot and to just eliminate their target.
Right, but then again, they also killed kids, and there's this unwritten rule in the mob: you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. But the thing is that it's just that the fact that all these and that night, one shooter. I don't think it is. It doesn't seem very mob-like to me in the end. I might have to conclude against that.
That's your interpretation.
I think the mob thing is just like a weird angle on it. Maybe it started something that led to this, but
maybe.
I don't know.
But then this author that I quoted, FBI showed up to interview Butch DeFeo in prison about his family and their connections to the mafia. Yeah. Supposedly the FBI had wiretaps of his grandfather and great uncle, talking about having him killed in prison. He knows too much.
Yeah, but he could know a lot about something else.
That's true.
He could know a lot about, probably the drug side of things and the money side. Yeah, of course he knows a lot. I just don't immediately assume that the kid woke up. How old is he at this time when he did it?
23, I believe.
Okay. I would find it surprising if he woke up and let's say if he was demonically possessed, he woke up and decided to, not even remotely do the right thing and try to hide it and try to get away with it almost immediately, hours after, right away, starting by going to a dealership to sleep in the car and then starting his work day and all that, right? Yeah. It seems like if he was possessed, it seems to be like, for all I know, Butch was the right source, the right carrier for this demonic presence to take advantage of finally, because he's so high all the time. He took advantage of his altered state
Yeah,
and
that's
used him like a
possible.
puppet. And for all I know, Butch woke up from that, or when he got slightly more sober, or not sober, it's for alcoholics, right?
When he came down.
Came down. Yeah, when he came down from his high or whatever, he realized what he'd done, and he probably just blamed it on being high. Maybe he blamed it himself on that, and I don't know. It could be a lot of things, you know.
It really could.
Well, I mean, I honestly don't think I'll blame drugs for the clinical nature of this drug either. Seem to be messy people.
I don't know.
It's like sleepwalking.
People do crazy shit when they're
Yeah.
tripping balls. I mean, they see all sorts of shit, do all sorts of weird things, man.
Yeah, but pull it off like this? I don't know.
I don't know.
They can't walk in a straight line, much less shoot like that.
Well, it affects everyone different. I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe like he was super high and maybe something possessed him, took advantage.
yeah. And there's only one person in the world who knows what really happened.
And he might not know if he was drugged up and shit.
And that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's our only chance. Is Butch DeFeo.
Yeah, but the thing is that whatever he says tomorrow, would anyone believe him considering he's changed the story how many times?
Those are the two biggest stories. There's been other little
Yeah.
kinks in the story since he's been incarcerated, but those are the two I focused on.
And obviously, as more time passes, less details are fresh,
Right.
right? I mean, that's why they get the statement right away, right? You know,
Right.
as soon as possible. What do you think?
As much as I would like to say, just because, keeping in theme with this show, he was possessed by some evil spirits.
Yeah.
Either he was high off his ass, just so far gone on acid that he just had no idea what he was doing, or the mob thing, the mafia thing. Really, there might be something there. There really might be something there, and this was just a horrible hit. But I can't explain the position of the bodies,
I can see,
Can't explain it.
we're living in this cinematic age where we like very real movies, meaning like, very plausible movies. I'm not saying we don't have supernatural stuff, of course. There's plenty of ridiculous stuff and superheroes and all, I know all that. But I'm saying we're also very into the realism of what we can show, especially if it's historical, biopic, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can see a big temple movie or Amityville, like this particular murder shown in a way where it's possible for this kid to do it in the way he did it, but just in a plausible, logical sense.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to see how a movie could take that and interpret it for him to pull that off.
Right.
Because that's, I guess, as weird as it is, I guess it's possible. I just don't believe it personally that they wouldn't stir, they wouldn't wake up,
Run, hide.
right? That he, if it was a humongous side effect because of his drugs, that he would do it in that way, get away with one shot, all perfect shots in a way. I don't know,
Yeah.
It just seems too strange, which just fuels the fire of the thing.
Right, to the believers.
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely do not think the Red Room is anything, though. But you don't think this is haunted?
I don't know yet. We'll wait till the next episode.
Oh, okay. Fine. But if the lust didn't exist and just this story only existed on this house, would you believe it's haunted? Or demonically, or whatever?
I would probably say I would not live there.
That's not what I asked.
Because it might be haunted.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, man, that's not good. That is not good for what we talk about here. That's prime candidate for a haunted house. I wouldn't live there.
You mentioned earlier about the strange police calls they get at that place.
Strange police calls.
In the town.
I did?
Didn't you?
No.
Did I mention that?
Yes.
No, not like strange like that. That people like
like strange murders and
strange crimes and stuff. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are they?
Oh, man, I didn't take notes on all of it. Kesso was the one I took notes of because it directly tied to the Amityville house.
What? Then how do you know?
Just by doing research.
So you did read them, but you didn't you didn't like copy them or anything?
No, not at all.
Okay. Do you remember any? I'm just curious. What made them stranger than like any other place? Like what about them? Can you give me a feel?
Well, the fact that they happen in such a small town.
Mm-hmm. is there like a lot of calls per year? Is that what it is, or
no? Maybe the heinousness of the crimes.
okay, like brutal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parents killing kids. People holding. There was one story. Again, I didn't write this down, but
I know.
Someone held a girl hostage, like underground or something like that, for an insanely long time. It was abusing her and all sorts of crazy shit. She eventually, I think, escaped. There's some tie to the Poltergeist house with Amityville.
What's that tie?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'm just curious because I'm trying to get a feel.
I didn't. That
what makes it
that
strange?
wasn't my goal on this.
What makes it strange for our population, even a small one like this? I'm just was curious what it was. Because I mean, for all I know, you could have said people just love stealing milk cartons that year, or I don't know what.
There's some weird shit there.
I mean, does what's the class like? Is it like a poor town? No, I mean, it's not a poor town, right? You mentioned the whole tourist thing.
No,
or
these houses in this particular area where the Amityville house is located, they're all huge.
So
they're all stately.
So it's not like what's that Indiana place we make fun of a lot?
Oh, Gary.
Yeah, it's not Gary.
It's not a Gary.
Right, it's not a Gary.
It's not
right?
a Gary, but it is an older town. But again, from what I could tell, I haven't been to Amityville, like I said, since I was 11 or 12.
Yeah.
It's a nice town.
Right.
It's a nice town.
Okay, so you take that out, right? And then, that makes it the fact that these things happen, they're a little stranger. If we go with the demonic angle as more of a possibility than less so, then the Amityville one is just a standout among a sea of many kind of things that happen suddenly.
Yeah.
Or, what would be interesting is if whatever energy that's helping these people do these crimes, right? Let's say pushing them to that edge. What if they're just holding their deepest desires? Like the kid wanted to kill his family, they're just on top of it, maybe, and that was pushed them to do that. The other guy who kidnapped that girl in that underground version of Room got pushed into doing it, or that mother was.
That makes it really interesting,
right? Like like the worst thing you want to do, or the thing that you would regret the most, or the biggest sin, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe the energy is possessing them to do the very darkest thing they're afraid to do otherwise. Well,
it's funny, because, and I want to draw this to a close. Long Island does have a pretty rich history of spiritualism, occultism, witches, big population.
Okay.
The birthplace of American Wicca took place in that area.
Okay.
And so it is interesting. It does have that sort of witchy past.
Yeah.
Up till today. So it's interesting. It's an interesting spot.
Okay. Yeah, it could just be a hot spot for that, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you go there, spend enough time.
Next thing you know, you're murdering your family.
You'll do something.
Move to Amityville.
You'll do something.
Put that on a postcard.
For all I know, it could be something simple, like a guy cuts you off and you actually, ride him over and whatever. Go that extra mile.
There's a lot of... Maybe one day we'll do an episode on the weird connections to Amityville, the town of Amityville.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. We're just talking about a house, and I know you don't have the info, but it's just trying to see if this theory made sense in my head.
Yeah,
it could make sense, maybe, so far. I mean, until we get to more details.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's get some more... Listeners, sorry, I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger, but stay tuned for episode 91.
We're leaving you Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Nope.
Cliffhanger.
Oh
my God. Yes. I did not know this.
Yes. Because it's 4:40 in the morning.
It is really late.
You got to get home.
Oh my God, yes.
Big snowstorm coming.
Yeah.
Water cooler.
Why was I excited though? It's April.
Yeah. Geez. End of April too.
Yeah, I know.
Oscar, safely take us home.
I'll try. I have a strange... I don't know if I'll put this, honestly, in the show. A strange thing has been happening. Not strange thing... Okay. Nothing's been happening. But these series of like conversations that started off as like little jokes are becoming like steadily more serious.
Between whom?
Lexi
Oh.
and myself, where we want to include this third party. Because we've both been ogling a lot of big titty women.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We both love them. I mean, obviously, you know, as a straight guy in this time, you know, I really hold back. Many of the times I want to say, nice rack. Right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's faux pas.
Especially, and really only especially when she's around me, right?
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. And I'm slowly realizing I should definitely just go in on it because she is there before I even think it sometimes.
Whoa.
Like, you know, which I first started off as like, I mean, I've always known this about her. She's always liked big ass titties like that. And other things too.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more whatever. And we would just joke at first about like, you know, like we should have some big titty bitch, the two of us. And,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And she'd say all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, what would you do? And we start talking, and it gets salacious, of course. But it gets pretty graphic sometimes.
So she's down?
She's pretty down for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a Jedi.
So we're kind of talking about like going to sites and creating an account together to see if we could find someone, right?
Yeah.
In the same ilk that we want. And obviously, you know, just take out the ones with small tits, I guess. That's really the thing she wants. That's the one thing she wants.
That's tit racist.
What? That's what she is. I mean, I'm not that picky. I like, you know, but you know, she doesn't have big tits or anything. Not that I'm picky either. I love her tits, but she wants them. Like she wants them on herself clearly, but she can't. So like she wants others. You know what I'm saying?
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So we've been talking.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
That's
some Jedi shit right there.
No, it's not. You know, I think I attribute a lot of this to her age, and in general, that's she's in a very experimental time. She's in her early 20s.
Yeah.
And she's in her experimental time. I'm not saying that I was just like that also. I'm always like that. I'm a special case. But most people are like that around that time.
Oh,
you know, they'll, you know, if they're androgynous enough, they'll date guys and girls, or they'll date like all types of people, or they'll date multiple people, or they'll do the, you know, nowadays they use it with Tinder and they use it with
polyamorous people.
Right. I mean, nowadays is more open to call those labels and figure that out more specifically. But even during my time when I was growing up and Tinder wasn't around, like there's still lots of like, you know, orgies and shit like that, and open houses and God knows what, you know.
Open houses.
Totally open house. You ever been to an open house?
I mean, yeah, but
Chicago's great.
Probably not the same kind of open houses.
No, I meant. I mean,
I've looked at properties. Yeah.
No, that's not what I meant.
Oh.
Although some of them do have properties on them. Yeah, so you see a lot of that, and you experiment, I guess, the most then because you're more ambitious, you're carefree, you think you're invincible, all that shit, and that's where it leads to AIDS and shit. But anyway, the point is that I think she's in that state, you know, and she wants to try this. Maybe
I don't want to say the phrase "take advantage of that" because that sounds bad.
No,
but
told
take
her,
advantage of that.
I literally have said these words to her. Like, this is like kind of the thing. You're just kind of. I mean, I get that you want to do this. You want to go your ambition. Although she's very lazy too, so I got a feeling I'll be doing all the work as far as finding someone.
The heavy lifting, yeah.
Right, which is fine because I want to heavy lift some big titties, so that's fine with me. Sorry, it's the open. You just gave me an opening. Anyway, and I know that she would enjoy it and love it and all that. But I always tell her like this is like when it gets serious, like we should go to FetLife and create an account, and which is
Wait,
like,
what is it called?
FetLife is it's like Facebook for kinksters and stuff, and a community of that. It's like more like Facebook. It's more like a chat thing. You can date and hook up people there.
Okay.
So it's like a bit of both, kind of like a Facebook and a dating site.
God, I'm so out of the loop. Yeah.
No, I mean that's been around for a long time. There are others out there. They're just app only stuff. You know, that's like a website.
Yeah.
And so many versions of those things. Anyway, so we will go into these. So we will go on this, and we start creating rules. Like, okay, but you can't go on it until we have to be on it together.
I see.
You know, right, to minimize
that makes sense.
Any damage. And I'm like, okay, but that goes with you too. You know that, right? Like, you know, and all this stuff. I'm like, but further up, like, honey, I know I can probably separate myself from any encounter and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could enjoy me enjoying someone else in front of you.
Well, that's the question, right?
And that's the thing is that
could totally alter your relationship.
Right. It could totally alter it. But so that was a discussion we had a year ago.
Okay.
And cut to today or present day talks and stuff. And it seems like she is more, I guess, stable to understand that difference.
Oh.
So maybe it might be a truism at some point this year.
Wow. Well, I'm pulling for you.
You know? So that could be a fun experience.
Yes,
it's not my first one, but my first one with someone like close like she is with me. So that'll be a different version of it.
So you've done this before?
Yeah, but I was too drunk. I'm the worst advocate for a threesome. Because my first and only time I was inebriated. Which I'm sure happens all the time. I mean, I only counted it because it's technically correct. I don't remember having that much fun. I don't remember. I remember it being kind of work.
Oh.
You know, and I don't think much pleasure was transmitted between the three of us.
That's insane.
You know, that particular day. But I'm also maybe more picky, and I like longer sessions. I just like longer time on it.
I gotcha.
And it wasn't, you know, I'm not a quicker at all. Never been.
Wow.
You know.
Well, wait till you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
You got to squeeze it in 5 minutes.
Yes.
No, that's amazing. Listeners might not know. You are quite the experienced, could we say, kinkster?
No, I mean, I think compared to vanillas like yourself. Sorry. I know I called you that before. Remember in Vegas?
I remember.
So, no, I don't mean like in a bad way. I just mean like compared to most, maybe. But like I am not experienced. I mean, I've known people who actually know this shit. Like backwards and forwards. That, you know, it's like a video game. I play video games a lot. I play a lot of video games. I have very specific choices, like Resident Evils and all Spider-Mans, right?
Yeah.
But like, I will never be as good at the people that I've seen do speed runs, or I've seen the people that like know every move and can call back to it in conversation with me. I'm like,
so these are the kingsters,
right? Those are I've
kink.
met those people. I am not that.
Wow.
I am not that good. I don't know all the rope stuff. I just know like one or two things. I don't have a mannequin at home to practice with. I don't know what they do to get so good at it.
God,
like
maybe we should get one of these kingsters, these Jedi level kingsters, onto the show.
Right.
And we can pick their brain.
That is to say that I'm not like bitching. I mean, it's like their shortcoming that they're so good at it. It's my shortcoming that I don't put the fucking work in. But also like, how much work can you possibly do before it gets less fun? So I think there's a threshold for me. I've never met my threshold. Doesn't they have a bigger threshold than I do? I guess. I see. As far as like what they're willing to do to be that good at it.
Wow.
Like if I'm at 7 out of 10, not that I am, they're at 10 out of 10.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Out of whatever they do. And that's just, I mean, there's a lot of things, you know, and also like, I kind of tend to go with the flow a bit more.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the fetishist stuff is very specific and sometimes they're not. I mean, I've met a lot that are not, which is the people that I end up with.
Yeah.
And they go with the flow. So like they don't have the order of the kinks or whatever they like or whatever I like doesn't have to be in that specific order, or we can negate one or two things, but if we're in the mood for all of it, you know, and then do all, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but some people are much more specific.
It's very interesting. I mean, the only experience I have is apparently whenever I look at porn, because, you know, I'm a man, flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Apparently every time I check out a porn site, there's hot, big-titted moms in my zip code that are willing to hook up with me right then.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
I don't know what
and very
all
conveniently big titty. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, apparently they're around the block just on their doorstep with
you
tits
get those.
hanging out waiting for me.
Yep, you get those.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
But, I guess I'm pretty vanilla. Been with my wife 20 years.
No, I mean, and the other thing is that it's a lot of things. Like, for example, like Lexi. I'm not saying I drew it out of her, but I drew a lot of it out of her. Like, it wasn't her immediate go-to, but it's something that is definitely in her demeanor. It's in her. No, I don't want to say it's in her nature. It sounds weird. I don't want to sound like a bad book or anything.
No, it's
like a novella, but it's like it's something that she very well leaned into it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and some of the stuff she's definitely done before I met her, so you know, not surprising there.
Well, I could say that even though we're vanilla in that I don't have other partners and I'm really not into.
I mean, I'm monogamous too. I don't.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not into apparatuses in the bedroom. We still do some weird shit.
Yeah,
you know, just not without the apparatus. So I can't complain. I mean, it's great. But
I mean, the other day we had an amazing time without any apparatus.
Apparati?
Apparatus? I was going to say that.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Items.
There you
without
go.
any items or toys or any liquids beyond our own, so to speak. Thank you. I kept that clean,
I need
didn't
a drink.
Kept
Hold
that
on,
clean.
let me take a sip of my whiskey.
I couldn't resist that one.
Oh, Oscar.
And it was amazing. It was still very much in the style of what we like and stuff, but just without any help.
That's awesome.
But most of the times, yeah, I use it, and it's definitely a lot of it's me.
Huh.
Or
Well,
it came from me.
Hats off to you if you pull it off. I can tell you, for 20 years, I've been after Katie to let's open this up.
Oh, really?
And it's a vehement, absolutely fucking not.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, it's never going to happen, and I've come to terms with it.
You think what's a wild imagination version? It would be like a swingers party? Is that like
No, just like another chick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know.
Okay.
But it's never going to happen. So
Yeah, I think so. I asked Lexi about. I mean, she might want another dude, right? Which is
fuck no, dude.
right. I would say no, just because I don't. I've been in a room where it's multiples of everything.
Really?
And I guess it's my penis or something, but it just doesn't drive me to carry on that well. If there's like other males touching around me, or
Yeah, no,
like
I
just
mean,
not my thing. Just not my thing. I'm not even remotely in that area.
Right,
Like,
no,
not even ambi.
well, some other dude, you know, they call those are cucks.
Yeah.
Dudes that like let other dudes bang their wives.
Oh, that's a different thing entirely.
That's not a man.
That's a different thing entirely.
That is unnatural and horrible.
There are plenty of people that have threesomes with only two guys and one girl, and they can all be hetero and they can work. And
yeah, but not with your wife. You can't do that.
Oh, well,
that is.
Well, in my case, I'm saying
that is so. That's.
I think you're taking a detour. I'm not saying
I'm
that.
getting angry right now. Like,
I'm not saying that.
What man lets another man bang his wife? It's horrible.
Hey,
and I'm sorry if listeners are listening to this and you're into that cuckold shit.
No.
But that is not okay.
The point is that if you're into that, I am not judging you at all. And
there you go.
And I understand
the
where
yin
they're
and the
coming
yang.
from. I do understand where they're coming from.
Well, because Katie asked me, she's like, "Well, then how about another guy?"
Well, it's only fair, and
I almost choked her out.
No. The thing
what
is
the fuck?
Here's the thing is that
how's that fair?
Here's the thing: is that when I said that, when I said like, "What about another guy?" When Lexi talked about it with me instead of another girl, I didn't go to that road of me being a cuckold. I'm not saying I'm going to be looking at someone fucking. We'd both be fucking her in this case, right? In this scenario of the threesome.
No, dude.
We'd both be doing things, and obviously we'd have, like most couples have like rules on this.
Yes.
I've known because I just know, and a lot of couples tend to have set rules. For example, like don't go down on him. For example, that's just on me.
Yeah.
Only I get to do that.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't touch your asshole or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the rule. No kissing. Kissing is a big thing with girls. Like they don't want you to kiss her, for example. Things like that. You see all kinds of things like that. And it isn't a cuckold thing at all. It's not. The point is not to do that. The point is to give extra pleasure to your partner and you enjoying her in it.
Fuck that. I'll buy her a steak dinner instead.
That's what I'm saying. The point is that's not a cuckold thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Really? See, in my mind, it's the same.
No, I know it's the same, but it's not. What you're saying is much more specific.
I see.
It's literally like having the power taken away from you and watching that power being fucked by another guy. That's the whole point. That's a different thing.
Ooh,
It's
yeah,
a different. It's a
God.
different dynamic. Is my point. But anyway, when I asked her about it, I'm like, she's just as good with women. She used to date girls, so like, I got the winning lottery ticket with. So it's my point. And my point is that she would love to do a big titty girl. So
and there's something about, the bigger the better. For me, the bigger the better.
Oh, I know you. Yes,
I
know
could
you.
watch them all day.
Yeah. Right. For me, I mean, hopefully not too big. I like proportional, but I'm not that picky either, I guess. I want to stick something in between those things. Yeah, that'd be great. Be great. Be fun.
Are these outtakes?
They are, dude. 14 minutes. Dude, I'm sorry, they are now. I wasn't planning on it. I was just telling you things. And
now you mentioned rules, right?
Yeah, they're rules.
So Katie and I always had these rules, like this rule where if one person in the world knocked on the door, and you have you have the permission to fuck them.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Here we go.
So for Katie, it was Josh Hartnett from like The Faculty and
from Penny Dreadful. Yeah.
Penny Dreadful. What's the war movie?
Hollywood Homicide.
Pearl Harbor.
Oh, he was in Pearl Harbor. That's right.
Pearl Harbor. It was Josh Hartnett. I hate that motherfucker.
Do you hate him because Katie picked him?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, well then, now we know.
Kill that motherfucker. And mine was Well, it's changed. It was Alyssa Milano.
It changed. You can't just go for the younger model, the newer model.
No, hers remained constant. That fucker Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
Mine started with Alyssa Milano.
Okay.
Then it was
Not
Jenny
bad.
McCarthy.
Who?
Jenny McCarthy. They're from Chicago.
So you went local.
Where is she? What is she? Jenny McCarthy, married to Mark Wahlberg or Donnie Wahlberg.
That's even worse.
She was a model.
Sure.
Melissa McCarthy's cousin or whatever the fuck.
Sure.
It was Jenny McCarthy.
Okay.
And now it's what's that girl who did Into the
Dallas?
Woods?
Oh.
Into the Woods
Meryl
from
Streep?
Massachusetts. Oh my God.
Meryl Streep?
She
I don't know.
I'm a horrible stalker. What's her name?
Into the Woods?
Into the Woods. It was the Disney.
The only person I can think of is Meryl Streep.
No, not Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep looks like my mother-in-law.
Okay. Well,
She really does.
very specific.
Okay, now I have to giggle this.
I never seen Into the Woods, by the way. So, I mean,
That's the only one I could think of her in. Into the
it's going to be some major star that we can all think of different titles.
What's this girl's name, man? Anna Kendrick.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Anna
right.
Kendrick.
You and Luke. Oh, my God. With
Anna-
fucking Anna Kendrick. Jesus Christ.
Man, is she scrumptious. And Rose McGowan might have been in that door knock scenario for a little while, too. But those were the three big ones. And, yeah.
See, Rose McGowan I can see over Anna Kendrick.
But not like new Rose McGowan with the shaved head and all psychotic.
Oh, I don't know how
Marilyn
she
Manson,
looks.
Rose McGowan. She was hot.
When she did that movie I showed you, remember that one time I brought you that movie, that low rent horror movie she was in?
No. Not The Grindhouse.
No. Low Rent. That's a Tarantino movie. Tarantino movies are not low rent. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter.
It was some movie that she was kind of popular for when she was more indie.
Right, when she was indie, exactly.
Yeah.
Not new.
I hear you.
Not new Me Too Rose McGowan.
See,
Gross.
I guess if we're not down this road. We're not married. We haven't been this long, so I guess that question hasn't come up.
Yeah.
Or if it has, I guess she will probably pick like Tom Holland, who is the new Spider-Man. So she saw Avengers with me, right? And I'm not spoiling anything, obviously. But as soon as like she saw Tom Holland's name and the credit, things like that, anytime Spider-Man was mentioned or seen or
She got
anything, all excited.
Ugh.
And that's not really a spoiler. There's a Spider-Man movie coming out, guys. Come on, he makes it. So so that'd probably be hers. I don't know what mine. Probably ScarJo. She's my age.
Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, she's my age.
ScarJo.
I literally. It's funny. She's one of the few actresses who I've known exactly. I've seen her movies as I was aging.
Ah, okay.
From the little girl movie she was in, and then to the Ghost. What's that his story? Fuck. Ghost Town, Ghost Story, Ghost World.
Ghost World.
Ghost
Okay.
World. Thank you. I'm like fuck. Ghost World, and then she hit the bigger movies, Lost in Translation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's fucking hot.
I might change or add Anna Kendrick to the door knock, or another person to the Anna Kendrick door knock. Like if 2 stars knocked on my door.
Oh, okay.
I'm really getting into Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones.
So I guess you're watching Dark Phoenix.
Sansa. That's right. She's going to be.
She's the
gonna
Dark
be
Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, she is.
And I normally don't like redheads because they scare the shit out of me.
You're saying Lexi scares the shit out of you?
Is she redhead? I thought she was brown. Brown hair.
No, she's red.
Is it red?
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
colorblind.
not like a deep red, not like a bright red.
Yeah, I thought it looked more brown.
No.
But yeah, Sansa. She's getting, the more icier she's getting in Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
the more hardcore, the hotter she's getting.
That's
man.
so strange.
Oof.
But hey, more power to you.
Oof.
I don't feel nothing. I feel nothing.
No, I don't feel.
And she looks too young to me. I imagine. I don't know. She just feels too young to me. I'm sure she's not. She's properly aged and stuff. But
Yeah, I don't know. She's an adult.
no, I know that. No, I know. Even Arya is like 22 or something.
Yeah, she's 22.
Yeah, but the point is that I can't unsee it. I can't see the too young.
I understand.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
understand.
But some other, like even Anna Kendrick, I know she's older. I think as old as I am, probably.
Yeah, I'm not
And
sure how old she is.
She's in her
Doesn't
30s
matter.
for sure.
She's hot.
And she just looks so young to me.
She does. She does
It's
have
a little.
She does have kind of a young face.
Yeah,
but
so you know. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But no, I don't see, like, if Alexi ever asked me that question, my first is it would be like a joke go-to answer, which would be, oh, this next door neighbor I know, someone I actually have a chance with. Right?
That'll end a relationship real quick.
Real quick.
Or get your neighbor killed, one of the two.
Right. Or both, just for kicks.
Oh, dude. This was good. I'm glad you brought this up. These are fun outtakes. I don't know how Katie will feel about these, but...
I don't know how Lexi will feel, but I know she doesn't listen.
I don't think Katie's listened in a long time either. Although I was going to have her on this evening.
I dropped her the clue about, in one of the shows that I talk about the gift thing.
Yeah, the gift.
And, I told her that when that show came out, and she still hasn't listened to it, so I'm like, she's not going to listen. I told her I bleeped out stuff, so it's not like a big deal.
Got it.
But yeah.
What do you think? Should we start this thing?
Yeah, probably.
It's a good idea. It's 1:34.
Yeah, I have to edit this thing.